Hello, everyone. I am in the room that's going to be a gym very soon, which is why my acoustics are weird. And this is just what things are. There's a cat here, and I have two amazing people with me. First, I want to introduce my co-host, who's always here with me, Trevor. Oh, wait, that's not Trevor. This is Trevor, aka, oh, maybe it is, Peter One, although I can't see him. There he is.
Am I here? Maybe. Hi, I'm Peter One.
I'm also Peter Three, by the way. And my Peter Tingle is telling me that we have a very special guest, an incredibly special guest, who's something
Doesn't work on bread though.
of a scientist himself.
Should I change it back to
Robert
Peter
Parker.
too? I'll change it back if you want me to here.
You do whatever you want, man. You're the guest here today. I couldn't
Okay,
think of a appropriate person than a spider himself to talk
There you
about Spider-Man No Way Home, guys.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to talk initial thoughts?
Yeah. Who wants to go first? I feel like we should let our guest go first. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I don't know about that. I think this movie whipped out its expletive in minute, 8 and never took the foot off the pedal. This movie rocks. It's immediately one of my favorite Spider-Man movies, one of my favorite MCU movies. It's just everything that a Spider-Man fan would love, everything that a movie fan would love, everything that a Marvel fan would love. It's just individual references to things that people who haven't been paying attention to the MCU would love. And also, I do think that you can come into this movie without a general knowledge of the Infinity Saga and still kind of get it. And I think that's one of the charms of this movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what about you, Trevor? What are your kind of initial big picture thoughts?
Yeah. No, I agree with not having to you could go into this having just seen the previous Spider-Man films. 100% and get it. You just have to get the Doctor Strange part of it, but I think that you could manage your way. But yeah, this was one of the most fun movie theater experiences I've ever had. A movie like this is what movie theaters were built for. When they first made movie theaters, they're like, there's gonna be a couple movies, and one of them will be 110 years from now. It'll be called Spider-Man No Way Home, and we got it. I've only had a theater experience for like this for Endgame and Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It was on that level. And yeah, it's just an absolute it's just such a fun movie. I had a smile on my face that was nobody could see because masks, but I had a smile on my face from the moment it started. I mean, we don't have to worry about spoilers. If you're here, you've seen the movie, or you don't care about spoilers, or it's been spoiled for you because the internet's terrible.
That's
but
I'm throwing the little thing up just in case, though. Even though it'll be in the title and the description, it'll be so profoundly stated that if you get spoiled by this, I feel like it's only your fault.
Yes, but I'm assuming what you.
Wait, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen this yet. Should I go back and watch it first?
No, I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Go with mine.
Hey, by the way, Peter Parker dies. Sorry, spoiled.
No, that's a spoiler for Into the Spider-Verse, Mara.
Anyways.
But yeah, I'm assuming what you're referencing, Parker, is Daredevil.
Yeah, 100%. Even bigger than the big spoiler, even bigger than Toby and Andrew showing up. The biggest holy shit moment for me, because there's been months, maybe even years of are they going to be in it? Are they not going to be? Obviously that was a huge rousing theater moment, but the moment that we didn't see coming, the moment out of left field, the moment that truly for me was a what the fuck was as soon as I saw that walking cane lean up against the table, and I grabbed my hair and I turned to my brother-in-law right next to me and I said, "What?" And that was the biggest shock. I think there were other moments that were more rousing, more cheering, more hoo-ha,
Yeah.
Spider-Man. But I think as far as the biggest surprise, the biggest wow, they did that was
Yeah.
in minute 7 or 8 when you see that walking stick hit, you see the sunglasses, you see Charlie show up, and oh my god, it was incredible.
Yeah. No, because like with Andrew and Toby, like I mean, like I said, the internet is terrible.
Yeah.
We like it has been speculated for over a year now that they were going to be in this movie. But yeah, no, Daredevil was pretty out of the blue. Like I know Feige said something a couple days beforehand, but like I was kind of ignoring everything having to do with everything Marvel in the days leading up.
Yeah, I also just
Just
don't, like,
trying to,
hang on every single word that Kevin Feige says out loud, like,
yeah, yeah,
You don't?
but like,
no.
eh, but that moment, I love. So I saw this in an IMAX theater opening night with like 500 people or something. Like it was insane, and they when the cane appears on screen, there were a couple people who were like, "Oh," like who kind of knew what was going on, and then as soon as we see Charlie Cox's face, like it just erupted. The dude sitting in front of me like flipped his popcorn. Like it was, yeah, it
I
was
just loved it
absolutely
because
insane.
it was so unexpected because the whole shirt sleeves analysis thing that happened
Yeah,
already in the movie. We see it's not him. So I was like, "Oh, okay. It's
yeah,
not the shirt sleeves, so he's not going to be in it."
yeah,
So I love that it was
yeah,
such a surprise because we had literally just effectively been told, "Oh no, he's not. He's not the part of the movie you thought he might be," with the early speculation. So that was such a great thing, even though I know they didn't intend for it to be this way, but like pacing wise, I love that I kind of immediately was like, "Oh, this definitely isn't happening," and then it definitely happened right after that.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so is this the same? Are we saying that this is in the same universe as the
As the show,
Netflix
I think that
shows? Yeah,
that remains to be seen. I would not be at all surprised if they decide to essentially retcon where they just say the show is not canon, the characters are played by the same actors. That's what I
yeah,
suspect will happen. So the show itself, the events of the show, everything that has happened with the show will not have, that won't count. It won't be
yeah,
canon, but just the actors in the roles will be. That's what I suspect will happen. I am not as caught up as I should be on any of the Netflix shows, really, Daredevil included. But I was still just as excited to see that character on screen with
yes,
Spider-Man. Whether or not I have seen every single minute of every single episode of Daredevil, like that's still exciting for me. So I would guess that the show is not going to be canon, and it's just going to be the character or the actors coming into the role again.
yeah.
But maybe not.
Because I would love to see. I mean, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones in the MCU.
Yeah, that I
Um,
definitely don't think that I would also
like
like to see that. I think it'd be interesting, but I also think that that's pretty X-nate at this point.
yeah, I could see them bringing back some of the actors. It just depends on who's interested. Because it seemed like Charlie Cox was very invested in this character. I don't
Right,
know how much like Mike Coulter or like Finn Jones or Kristen Ritter,
right.
how invested they are in their characters. But
It also,
I
yeah,
wouldn't mind it.
right. I wouldn't put it past. I mean, Marvel has a large checkbook. Like, I don't think that.
Yeah,
Speaking of the other actors who are in this movie, I don't think that either of them would have returned out of love for the character. Like they're
Disagree.
Andrew and
Andrew Garfield would
Andrew.
have.
Andrew maybe, but like I still think that he was rewarded handsomely in the pocketbook for his
Well,
appearance.
especially after like everything with Sony, because I mean, even if Amazing Spider-Man 2 had been just like a raging hit, there would have been a big problem trying to make Amazing Spider-Man 3 because of the places he wanted to explore with that character and that he was insisting
Mhm.
that they go, that they were in no way, shape, or form politically
Yeah,
comfortable going at the time. So he would never have gotten a third movie.
Yeah.
How
I
cool-
wonder,
Go ahead.
like, I wonder if, like, if the Amazing Spider-Man films were happened now, they would have let him go the direction. Because I would have loved to have seen that.
No, I don't
Um,
know if Disney's involved though, because we saw what happened to Rise of Skywalker in that like avenue. I don't know. I think that's still
Yeah.
questionable.
I think it
Yeah.
depends. I mean, I think that with Sony having to be involved, that there's the opening for a little bit more edge there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean,
I was
honestly, though, like the
I mean,
weirdest
it
thing
seems
ever
like we're
was
doing
seeing
Venom
Free
now.
Guy. Yeah. Well, like now that Disney and Fox are a thing, I saw Free Guy at the El Capitan in Hollywood, which is like the family friendliest theater in the entire United States. And so, like, I think that there are some walls being broken down because of things that
Sure.
Disney's bought. So maybe.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
mean, also, like, Nightmare Alley is technically, I believe, a Disney release. So, like,
Technically.
you're seeing them put some stuff out. I mean, West Side Story does feel like something that Disney would actually do. But
Yeah.
like, so something so that redacted. But like, Nightmare Alley is definitely not.
Definitely. It doesn't feel like a stereotypical Disney release.
Oh no, I think Peter 1 might be frozen.
something
Oh, I
like
thought that was me for a sec.
I can hear Peter 1. I just can't see Peter 1.
Oh, are you back?
Peter
Oh,
one is
now I
here.
can see Peter
There
1.
he is.
Okay.
There he is.
Yeah. No, I was just I was just mentioning like Jojo Rabbit even. Like that was immediately after acquisition and Disney had no clue what to do with that. But like Jojo Rabbit is a Disney release, as weird as that is. So,
Yep.
We've
So
seen them branch out. And
I was thinking, by the way, so I took 6 pages of notebook notes. I was thinking if you want, we could go chronologically through the movie and just kind of
Yeah.
talk about some of the big moments and things that happened. And I'm sure we'll meander a little bit, but I felt like it was a pretty concise way to get through it because if not, we'll talk for 4 hours. And Trevor probably has a bedtime, and Robbie's had a cocktail or two, I think. So I don't think we've got 4 hours in us.
That checks out.
So obviously we start in exactly at the end of a film beforehand. That worked for me, especially because I love the Marvel Studios logo, but I've also had a little Marvel Studios logo fatigue between the TV shows and the recent slate of films. So I like that they did the exposition, the new stuff over it that we were hearing at the end of the last movie. Kind of gets you primed up and puts you right back in it. And I love the Spider-Man hit me lady because that is so real people nowadays.
Really nice touch. I like that a lot as well.
Did either of you two notice Delmar's grocery? So like when
Delmar's
they take the
3,
subway.
right?
Yeah, Delmar's 3.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, I don't know if it's a full tracking shot or if it's really careful editing a la 1917, but I love when he first gets home to his apartment and we're just tracking him
I think it
all
is an
around the
actual
apartment.
tracking shot. I could be wrong there, but I noticed that I think from the time that you see May and Happy until they're like, is that here? And then it cuts to the outside helicopters. I think that's all one take.
It's so good. Like that's the thing like about these movies is there is good filmmaking in comic book movies. It's not just fluff. Like that is filmmaking.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you guys have anybody in your theater when the little devil in disguise Spider-Man thing came up say the word Mephisto? Because I did.
You told me about this, Mara. You told me about the whole Mephisto thing. I did that at the end of my second showing because I talked to you and Dan about it. And because you guys had your experience that I don't want to ruin it or, watch Dan's review and all, if you want to talk about it or whatever. But like at the very end, after the mid-credit scene in my second showing, not my first, in my second showing, I did say quite loudly, "Man, I wanted Mephisto." Like I did say that quite loudly just to fuck with people, and I thought that was funny. But no, not when the devil horned Peter showed up.
I love that so much because you said that you were going to do that when we both told you about.
I definitely did my second showing.
We each had a guy in our theater who after the film ended, he was like, "Yeah, it was good, but I wish we had more Mephisto." Like,
Mephisto is just
Yeah,
like the
it was
biggest
something.
MCU meme now. After everything that happened with WandaVision, like
Yeah.
One thing I really love is on a second watch, because I didn't take these notes the first time. I took these on my second watch. I just watched it the first time. Is that when they're sitting on the rooftop at Midtown the very first time at the beginning of the movie, and they're talking about Boston, and they keep talking about a fresh start. I love the idea that truly at the end of the movie, Ned and MJ are getting a fresh start in Boston, a fresh start without ever knowing a Peter Parker. Like, it's actually kind of deep.
Yeah.
I also love how in that scene he says "wicked crime."
Yes,
I
I love
wrote
that.
Wicked Crime on
Which
there.
is like the classic Boston
Yeah.
line, like, "Oh yeah, my boy's wicked smart." Like, "Oh yeah, they have wicked crime." Like, I think that's really funny.
Yeah. No, and it was so funny because like that there were so many laughs in my theater throughout the film. I was one of like the only people laughing at that line. Like I
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
like
that's a very funny line.
I think it's great.
Agreed. I absolutely need to know what the full moon party at Comertage was and why everybody
Yes.
forget.
Yes.
That needs to be like a la like you remember all the Office shorts that happened with like Thor like
Yes.
between
Yes.
those movies. I need to see that for sure. Like just a 3-minute short of that happening.
I think Mara, did
100%.
I just introduce those to you recently?
You've
Yeah,
never
this
seen-
last year.
Oh man, I remember when those were
I
coming
just
out. Oh, it was a great time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, no, Mara just saw them like
Yeah,
in
those
the
are so
past
much fun.
couple of
Those
months.
like the Marvel shorts are so much fun.
I mean, and they even did like the serious short films. Like you had like Item 47, All Hail the
Yeah.
King, Agent Carter. Like they had some a couple
It's
like pretty
actually-
good
yeah,
shorts.
it's
As a
very-
consultant was one of them.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see I'd love to see the shorts come back.
Oh my, we have another guest.
A new
Are you
contender.
guys ready for this?
Oh gosh, I don't know if he's ready for this.
Hey, Rick, are you there?
I am.
We're doing the Spider-Man.
Hello?
We're doing a Spider-Man review.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Can I call you back in 5 minutes?
Who?
You. I'll call you back in 5 minutes.
Oh, I might not. You can call me back, but I might not answer.
You'll be up in 5 minutes. I'll call you back.
Okay.
All right. I'll call you right back. All right. So what are we talking about? We're talking about Spider-Man: Far From Earth.
Yeah.
That's exactly the one. Yep.
Yeah.
What was your favorite quote?
With great sand comes great wine.
There it is.
Mhm.
Good lesson for life too, really, if you think about it.
What was that movie that the Sandman was in with the wine with Paul Giamatti?
Sideways.
Oh, Sideways.
With great sideways comes great sand.
Yep.
With great sideways comes great right ways.
Is this live, Parker?
No,
No.
we're recording, but I'm not
But they're
editing
not
it.
editing this.
So don't say anything totally ridiculous because I will not edit it out and you'll get canceled.
What do you got there? Brownies?
No, special
Are they
cookies that one of my patients.
When you
gives me
say
every year.
special, like what's in them?
Nothing, no drugs.
No drugs. All right, I'll eat that.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Ship one this way.
How good is that?
No drugs.
But it's amazing, huh?
Tell her to say
Spider-Man.
hi, by the way.
Amanda Mara says hi. You want to say hi to her real
Hi.
quick?
Hi, Amanda.
Can I be seen in the screen right now?
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
pop
come
in.
on.
It's live.
Thanks, Amanda.
Hi.
Hi.
You look
How you
great.
guys doing?
Good.
Oh my
You are
God.
fucking good,
I
man.
didn't.
You can say hi to Parker.
I know. I was like,
She can't
kind of
hear us, can
ironic. Your name is Parker. Or no, it's Peter.
Right?
It's Peter. What's the guy's name in Spider-Man?
Peter Parker.
Trivia question number one.
What is Spider-Man's
What is Spider-Man's
human name?
Human name?
Miles Morales?
Peter Parker.
Miles Morales or Peter Parker? We will accept
Penny
John
Parker.
You're
Mulaney.
Walker?
We will accept John
Oh,
Mulaney.
remember when I got us John Mulaney
It's not
tickets?
time to argue about John Mulaney tickets right now. We're doing a review of a show, a movie. We can argue about John
I
Mulaney.
feel like
You're
this is a
going
very
with me.
consistent
I
conversation.
am gonna go. I am
that
gonna go.
conversation's happened before.
I am gonna go with you to John Mulaney.
Are you high? Are you drunk? You both?
but- Come on,
Both.
people are watching this. Don't need
He
to
can be
know
both.
what's going on in our personal lives.
It's also a minor on.
I'm just wondering if this is like a party or is it like
It's a Peter Parker party.
ooh, Peter Parker party.
Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
Lawnmower
Peter Parker,
Man.
Peter
What is
Parker.
that? What is this?
Lawnmower Man,
That's
everybody.
funny, whatever
The
that
Lawnmower
was.
Man.
Whatever
That's
that
the
was.
Lawnmower Man on acid.
No, just
Actually,
Gets
regular.
out
this
of
is
here, you
great.
guys. You let me know.
Okay,
Right back at you.
this is a dungeon family right here.
No more cookies for
Right.
you.
So, Kaiser,
You know, I haven't
tell
had
me
dinner
what-
yet.
No, you should have
Kaiser,
done the
tell me what
rock,
you
laying
thought.
the smack down.
Tell me what you
Berate me later.
Kaiser, you saw this movie?
I saw Spider-Man Far from Venus.
All right. Tell me what you thought when you saw Daredevil on screen.
I was like, this TV show sucked, and it only was good when the Punisher was there.
What?
You know what? The fight scenes were really good. They were very
I
well
asked
because
him to review the
I'd
show.
heard Parker. I'd heard they might have got some of the guys from the Raid Redemption to
really?
help choreograph, or there was some connection there because the fight scenes were fucking brilliant and close quarters fighting, hand to hand. I love all that stuff. Very old school, no camera tricks, and cinematography was beautiful in that thing. I didn't like his buddy, Happy Gilmore, the lawyer, whatever his name was.
Foggy Nelson, yeah.
The guy who plays Matt Murdock is a good actor and does a good Matt Murdock. It did get better as it went along. Was I happy to see him? Yes. To answer your question, I was happy to see Matt Murdock in the Spider-Man movie. I think ultimately that's a good thing. But I digress.
Good answer.
But I digress. The TV show's a 6 out of 10.
All right.
And then the Punisher gets there, it goes to like a 7.9.
All right. Well, anyways, I would like to let's talk about the bridge scene because that's kind of where we are in the movie. And my very first thing
You're spoiling this shit?
Big time.
yes, we are spoiling it. People have had some time to
Yes.
see it, and if they're not spoiled by now, I don't know. They must live under
It's a
rocks.
tricky road
They're
you're
rock
walking
people.
in.
I know. I mean, there's spoilers on Twitter and TikTok. Like, it's everywhere. It's not that big.
Somebody was live streaming the movie on TikTok last night.
I'm sure they
Like,
were.
Before we
Yeah.
get into that, can we promote my new radio show that's coming out?
Yes.
You know, I
Yeah,
haven't.
you
I
gotta
have.
tell your friend back in 5 minutes. Make sure you keep that.
Thank
time.
you,
Yeah. You
Parker.
got 3.5 minutes left.
Parker, I haven't done a radio show in 2 years. When the pandemic started, it was like my pet
On
project
Vimeo, yeah, I remember, pal.
on Vimeo because you can get away with shit on Vimeo as long as like so far I post the music. I list the record companies in the shit, so I try and do it legit. Say, hey, I'm not making money. If anything, I'm pointing people to download your music. And I did 4 radio shows, and I haven't done one in like 2 years. The Return, just like Twin Peaks, is coming. The Return to the Kaiser Radio Hour. It's going to be a banger. I need everybody to retweet it, send it out, put it on, you know, whatever you guys do. Shazam, put it out there.
I'll use my wizard powers. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Shazam.
I meant Shazam like a platform, not your. I know what you're doing. What are you doing right now? Are you painting a bowl right now? What's going on? Are
I'm
you
making
in
a
Japan?
foaming-
Where are you?
I'm making a foaming soap dispenser for Dan's mom for the holidays. I'll show you the finished product. I'll send out a picture.
Is there nothing you can't cobble?
And I'm sure there's something.
All right, Parker. What's
But
his
anyways,
next
yes,
It's
of course,
like number.
Kaiser. I can't wait
We were
until radio
talking.
hours
We were
back.
talking about Venom in the post-credit scene.
The-
Go on.
No, the bridge scene. I loved the scene, although as soon as he got to the bridge and went to talk to the MIT lady, I was like, oh, it's the bridge scene from the trailer. Like, I really wish I avoided that first trailer for 2 months. Like, I tried really.
I did too, but
really-
that's because I don't care. You know,
I
was
do
in
care very
good
much.
shape. I was in good
Yeah.
shape when I got to. First of all, I didn't even expect to go to see the movie. I'd heard it was going to be me, Smets, Frank, Hannah watching football, and then it was like, we're going to leave in the middle of football, go watch Spider-Man. I'm like, can't you go see Spider-Man after the football games? No, that's not how it works. Apparently, in the IG universe.
I tried so hard to avoid stuff, and then eventually I succumbed and watched the trailer. Like, I wish so hard that I had never watched a single trailer, even if I had like seen some rumors on like social media or whatever. If I had never seen a full trailer, I would not have known it was coming or when it was coming. And those claws coming out, that shot of the claws coming out of the concrete would have blown my freaking mind.
Sure.
And
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah, still an incredible scene.
Yeah.
Still one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I just really, really, really wish I hadn't seen a frame of it before the
100%.
movie.
And I didn't.
Imagine if this.
the
Imagine,
pumpkin bomb, even the grenade, seeing the grenade like pop down, I would have lost my shit. But I saw it in the trailer. Like I wish I could have avoided every single frame of this movie before
Mhm.
seeing it.
Yes.
I agree.
Parker, that's
imagine
the way
if
to
this
really
movie
enjoy it.
existed. Imagine if this movie existed pre-internet, right?
Even-
Like we don't
even
know
post
anything
internet,
about
like,
Andrew and
I don't
Toby.
care.
You're shocked out of your fucking mind.
Even like the only thing that I would have known if I had not watched a single trailer, the only thing I would have known was that there's rumors that Toby and Andrew might be in it. Like I'd never read the article.
But then you'd know
about,
the minute you heard that, you knew it would be real. So now your
No,
brain's like, well,
no, I mean there's a lot of stuff that people wish for, like
yeah,
that
but
fans
when
are
they're,
like, "Man,
when certain people say it, Parker.
yeah, like I did not believe that they were going to be more than an elongated cameo until I saw the movie. Like I knew that by opening night, I knew that they were going to be in it, but I thought it was just going to be like a flash into an alternate dimension where he like taps into Doctor Strange's
Right.
powers, and for one
Yeah.
scene, kind of like the
Some Legion of Doom shit or whatever.
yeah,
it's
kind of
called,
like the trippy
Mhm.
scene in Doctor Strange where like
no,
just
I meant
random
the
visual effects
DC
happen.
one where they went into it was Superman world.
I
Weird.
right. I thought
What's that movie called?
I thought Tom Hardy
Justice League, when they do the
yeah.
alternate Superman world.
I thought he was just gonna like
Yeah.
have some kind of dream sequence or some kind of like they were gonna be in a couple shots. I didn't realize they were gonna be in a third of the movie. Like
Jesus, the whole third
They also have
act.
full arcs. Like
yeah,
both
no,
Toby
and
Andrew
don't
have
get me
full
wrong. I'm
character
so
arcs.
glad they were because
I think it worked for what it was.
love
I
this
think it
movie.
worked.
Yeah, I love this movie, and I think they worked very, very well. But like, until the night I saw the movie, I didn't think they were going to be in more than that.
Well, Parker, I told you and Mara and Trevor, we were hanging out talking. I said it was like, and mind you, Spider-Man was my first and favorite comic book from back in the day. I had all the Web of Spider-Mans, you know, all through the what's his name who did Spawn, who drew Spider-Man.
Oh, Todd McFarlane.
That was my shit. That was my era. You know what I mean? And I was like, this movie's like if you took my box of Spider-Man comics and threw it on the floor in a good way. And it was like you picked a couple pieces of it all and threw it into a flick. It'd be this. And I'm thinking, why not? What else? I mean, why not? Like, what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? It's and to me, it worked. But again, we know what they're doing. And what the fuck? It's something new. It's something fresh. I at least applaud the idea.
Something that I know.
Sorry, Trevor.
I don't want to step.
No, this would
I
make
want to know. Go ahead, Trevor.
Oh, I was going to say, so at the beginning, at the conception of the show, we talked about doing a swear jar, and this would have been the perfect episode name.
How much
Yeah,
do I
that's
owe
really
you?
what
How
happened.
much do I owe you?
I think you owe his family. We can all go in on an offering of raw meat and or
Okay.
seafood
There we
to send
go.
to them.
Yeah.
Another offering of Rummy, yeah.
Mara, I want to know if you noticed this, especially,
Offering.
and Kaiser and Trev too. I noticed this especially on my second viewing. Two of like the biggest, most important, like I don't want to get ahead of our list notes, but like the big group Spider-Man scenes. The scene in Ned's house and the scene, the second scene on the Midtown rooftop.
Yeah.
I noticed this, and it didn't take away from the movie at all, but it was more glaring the second time. I don't think Andrew and Toby were ever in the same room when either of those scenes were shot.
Really?
And I think it cut away. Like I think they
after he got
edited
stabbed
very
and they
well.
were hugging. Was that real? You think they were
Was that-
really hugging? Was he really
Oh
hugging?
yeah, that was definitely real.
Yeah.
Yes. Once they get to the Statue of Liberty,
It's hard to composite a hug.
yes. Once they get to the Statue of Liberty, I think they're absolutely both there. But
They actually worked very well together on screen.
I think they had great chemistry. I think
really.
I love that they
the
didn't
way they
DH
all
Toby.
worked together. To be honest with you, was a little too fucking good.
Yeah,
Freaking
I
good.
love that they didn't DH Toby. The writers
Mhm.
knew how to handle all of these
I
characters.
think so.
Yeah.
But
That's
like
a
I think
tough-
you're right, though.
that's a
I mean,
tough-
maybe
the
that was
Ned
a
scene-
COVID thing, and it
the
also
Ned-
might have been a secrecy thing, like
Yeah,
taking
very
them on
much.
set one at
very
a time.
possible. And like it didn't detract from any of the emotion. Like the scene in Ned's home, there's only one shot where they're both in the same scene. It's when they both do the flip on the ceiling. But that varies, like because like it's a quick motion, that varies. Like could have been green screened, and then the
Or their stunt doubles.
right, and it's very much cut close shots between them both. There's never really a wide shot of them both until the Statue of Liberty. And then they're seen even when they're like the shadows on the moonlight, like that's very easy to do. And then the shot where they're hopping down, I think that shot looks pretty bad actually. That's the only piece of bad. Oh fuck!
What happened, Parker? You getting robbed?
Uh-oh. Did
Your
we lose Peter
landlord-
too? Oh no.
His landlord's collecting the money right now.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry,
you are?
that's my cue to
You
go.
tell your landlord if he gives you any more shit, I'm gonna call
I'll give him your number. Where
Gives you any more crap.
Where did I leave off?
You left
Just
off
that
with,
you were talking about some of the rendering.
it was the scene
right.
at the barber shop.
Yeah. So the scene in Ned's home, it's just the scene, the flip scene. The other shot, when they're in the moonlight, that's obviously the shot where they're both hopping down. I think that's the only bad bit of CGI in the movie is that scene where they're hopping down off the rooftop, and then that entire scene, which I think is probably the best scene in the movie, or one of the best scenes in the movie, is when they're talking about how much they share together and how Gwen was Andrew's MJ and how they finished the Great Power line, how Toby finishes the Great Power line and he goes, Uncle Ben said it. Like, I think that's one of the best scenes in the movie. I think it's probably the best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
and even in that scene, it is only one shots of Andrew and Toby. And I don't, it doesn't detract anything from the emotion. I just think it's really interesting filmmaking that I really don't think that there's no wide shot with the two of them together until they get to the Statue of Liberty, which the Statue of Liberty has some fucking awesome scenes too. Pardon my language, but has some amazing scenes too. Thank you. Like the back crack and the everything.
Who's butt crack?
The back crack.
Oh, I thought they were talking about butt crack. Spider-Man
back crack.
Did Toby show some butt crack that I didn't see?
The organic web shooters, everything about
wow, that was ridiculous. What do you mean you can't do this?
The lab
was
scene,
sick.
Yeah,
I like that. That was funny.
Everything. I think the movie.
The writers were pretty brilliant with this thing.
I don't think the movie has a bad scene, a bad shot, a bad moment after that second rooftop on Midtown Tech. That scene.
And when we saw the Juggernaut's butt crack, I was like, I was not expecting that. You don't remember that scene?
Hey, Parker Patrol, don't you have to call back your friend?
Okay, you gotta call your buddy back, pal.
I do gotta call my buddy back. I'm glad I got to come in here and hang with you guys for at least
Absolutely.
a few minutes. Let me just tell you this. You saw my review on Twitter, obviously. It was seen by 5 million people. It was like everybody saw my review. When Garfield caught that girl in his arms, I'm like, holy shit.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm like, my God.
That might be the best 10 seconds.
I haven't had that much emotion since the girl in League of Their Own. She got the letter that her husband died in the front lines of Normandy. Like
those 10
I'm telling you, man.
He asks her if she's okay, and then she turns to him and says,
"Are
you okay?" And his lip quivering.
Let me tell you something, man.
Might be the best 10 seconds.
Straight chills. I'm going out on chills. Check out the Kaiser.
That is my favorite moment of the movie.
See, Mara, she knows a thing or two. Smart.
I wish that they hadn't had a single inkling of it in the trailer, though, because the second I saw MJ falling, I was like, "Oh, this is where they do it." And I wish I had not seen a single thing because I might have cried actual human tears if I hadn't seen it coming. It would have broken me.
Trevor, when
does I cry actual human tears real quick. Easier?
Trev, when does this episode
Well, it's because you were
out?
raised by normal human parents.
This episode goes out on Christmas Day, December 25th.
Christmas Day? Everybody gets to spend Christmas with the dungeon?
Yep, Christmas. That's the one with the bunny, right?
Picture a better Christmas than with the dungeon? You know what I mean?
Maybe the birth of Jesus.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That takes a back seat. But listen, when
Honestly,
the radio
if Kaiser was there, would have been better.
I would have given him dope gifts. I'd have given him frankincense, myrrh, steaks, probably a pre-rolls. I would have, a nice bottle of bourbon. Parker probably would have, dropped off. Parker would have dropped off, a nice tri-tip or something for Jesus.
I would have made a vodka.
When the radio show drops, I need everybody to promote this one because I'm back. Trev.
100%, man.
Trev, radio show The Return.
Just like Twin Peaks.
Just like
Kais, last question, Kais, and then you gotta go.
Yes, sir. One question. Let's go.
New York strip or tenderloin?
Tenderloin, that's the one.
I'm a prime rib guy. I gotta say,
Yeah.
I like it. And I'm pretty much off the red meat. I'm on the turkey, but a prime
That's awfully
rib.
foul of you.
I know, a prime rib with gravy and mushrooms. That's where it's at. You got to know how to do the gravy and the mushrooms. You ladle it over the prime rib. It's not
That's
your
called
grandma's
basting.
prime rib, But
All right.
I love you
Parker's
all.
joke did
Good
not go
answer.
unappreciated. That was a phenomenal joke by
Listen,
Parker.
you know what the best joke of the night is? As you grow up, Trevor,
Peter 3.
Trevor, as you grow up in front of our eyes on live YouTube, you look more and more like not Nancy Kerrigan. What's the other skater? Tanya Harding. You look like Tanya Harding's boyfriend or husband in that movie. The Life and Times
Sebastian
of Tanya
Stan.
Harding. What's the name of that movie?
It's just called I, Tanya.
Hi, Tanya.
The Life and Times of Tanya Harding. You're starting to look like the boyfriend. When you get a little peach fuzz under your nose, you're going to look just like that guy.
All right.
All right, Kaiser, we love you, but
I froze
get
him.
the fuck out of my house.
Oh, I got to go now.
That's a great reference. Excellent
And
reference.
language.
I'm sorry for flipping everybody's toes, but yes.
No. But I want to circle back real quick though to the bridge scene.
Yes.
I think that the animators of this movie get an A+ in every single scene that they're doing fight choreography. I don't think the rendering is always 100%. I think the bridge scene has a couple wonky moments. I think after that, especially the dimly lit stuff at Statue of Liberty is fantastic. But the animators are at an 100%, 10 out of 10 the entire film. It's some of the best movements and stuff and choreography that I've ever seen.
The de-aging stuff, especially on Alfred Molina, on the Doc Ock stuff, there is not a single shot in that movie that I can point to and be like, oh, that's, even in movies like, I think this might be the first movie where de-aging 100% has fully worked. Like, even in like The Irishman, like it worked for the most part, but then there's like old man Robert De Niro kicking a man on the street corner, like that.
Yeah,
like
there's like one or two scenes.
Yeah, this is the first movie, and it's used very sparingly, but even like Endgame, like it doesn't look great. When they de-age Michael Douglas in Endgame, like this may be the first movie where it's used very sparingly, but every single shot, there's not a single frame of this movie where the de-aging that is used looks bad. It all looks good.
Well, and especially because
Paul
it's
Rudd
so
has just been
seamless.
de-aging his entire life.
Yeah,
exactly. Like it's so seamless to the way that we saw them in their previous movies too. Like it's not just that they looked younger, it's that they had them in their actual costumes on sets that looked like this with color gradings that were similar to this. Like they had every aesthetic thing that they could possibly have to also like trick our brains into thinking that they're that age anyway. It's such a smart thing to do.
Mara, you might know more than I do on this one. Did they take unique footage of Thomas Hayden Church, or did he just voice? And those were Spider-Man 3 shots, right?
I don't have confirmation on it, but I went back and I rewatched his stuff from Spider-Man 3, and to my eye, it's identical. Like, I don't know if there was a reason why COVID maybe that he didn't want to come do any physical like photography. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get more on that.
Through interviews. I was just curious. I like obviously he did voice for new stuff, but I don't even think he did mocap. Like it seemed like he only did voice, and that's just a suspicion. I obviously am not a filmmaker and would not be able to tell sufficiently.
I mean, the good news is it didn't feel that out of place in the sense that like, the footage they used was so fleeting, and only the really hardcore fans. Because let's be honest, Spider-Man 3 is just about nobody's favorite Spider-Man movie, and that's not like a dig.
That's not.
It's my least favorite. I'm not saying it's the worst, but it's my least favorite.
Okay, yeah, it is my least favorite. Yeah.
I love I'm not a huge fan of the Iron Spider. I'm not saying that I don't love it. I just mean that like it does kind of really exaggerate his abilities in a way where I like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but I loved the Iron Spider versus Doc Ock 8 legs on 8 legs. That was tight.
Yes.
Looks like we have some competition or whatever he says. Yeah, that's a great Doc Ock line. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Doc Ock's like vernacular. Like it's so fun the way that he
I think he uses my boy or young boy. I think he uses the boy line a couple too many times. I think especially when he's like, oh, good kiddo.
Hi, Dasher. I've got Muffin
Um,
and Sir Pounce. Hey, Muffin, come on
I-
I'm
camera.
just
I
gonna
think
hold
there's-
on Dasher for a moment. You can keep talking and just
Yeah, keep
gotta
going, Robbie.
There you
We're
go.
listening.
There's maybe one or two too many times where he says "my boy" when he's locked in the cell, because like he doesn't say that much in Spider-Man 2. Maybe once, but like he doesn't like refer to Peter as like a boy, like as like a demeaning thing of his age. Like he respects Peter as an intellectual. So I thought that was a little bit out of character, using that a little bit too much perhaps, but it worked.
I
Especially
wonder if it's
because
because it's 17-year-old Tom
that's
Holland
what I was
and
just
not like
saying. Like
21, 22-year-old
right, and I
Peter
mean
Parker.
Doc Ock knew Peter in Spider-Man 2. Peter was, I mean, at least 19. Like he was in college, mid college.
It's actually
19,
it's set 2 years later, so I guess he'd be
20.
possibly 20, 21.
Yeah. Like, so I understand that, like, he may view, 16, 17-year-old Peter as, especially having been blipped, like, Peter looks so much younger than his peers. Like, I understand, like, categorizing Peter as my boy. I just thought that was a few too many times of that for my
That's
liking.
fair.
Yeah.
But still. That it's
do
not like
wanna go back.
I'm not gonna dock the movie a whole half star for that. Like it's just a
Yeah.
very, very, very small.
You're not
nitpick.
going to dock the Ock?
No, I'm not
Ha.
gonna dock Ock. Yeah.
I do want to go back to the color grading quick because Marvel movies typically look very gray and very,
it's
very
not-
monotone.
Yeah. When it came to the last third of this movie, this one definitely did too.
But this
Oh no, Peter won.
Oh no.
I
I don't want to disagree with him without him
Am I back?
having spoken his point first.
Zach.
Are you back?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was gonna say this one actually looked pretty good compared to most Marvel films.
Yeah. I think the last third was very dark, as most Marvel movies are.
It was.
Like, and that is partially the color grading, it's partially the light. It's just how Marvel movies tend to be. Look at the last third of Homecoming. That movie is also super freaking dark too. Like, that's just what
Yeah.
Marvel movies tend to do. And that's actually one of my. I really don't like that. Like, I think there's a way
No,
to
me
make
neither.
dynamic action movies interesting visually, without
Mad
them
Max,
having.
Fury Road, like
Well, no, even Marvel, even Spider-Man movies. Look at the end of Spider-Man 2. Like, I maybe I'm just a
Yeah.
shill for that movie, but like, there is not a shot of dark like hard to see action in that movie, and there are in this movie. There are shots of hard to see action in this movie because it's so
Yeah.
dark. And there are not in Spider-Man 2. There are not in Spider-Man 1. Even in Spider-Man 1, when they're fighting in an abandoned warehouse at the very end, when the glider's about to come in, that movie is so well lit. Both amazing Spider-Man movies, so well lit. And I think that, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not going to critique that kind of thing, but like, I think that's just a general problem that modern comic book movies have, not just MCU, but just modern blockbusters, really. Even for Star Wars stuff, even like, there's just a big problem with like making it too dark. And I think a lot of that comes from like the renaissance that the Dark Knight and Batman Begins and the Nolan Batman trilogy sort of brought on.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like, visually being able to see everything, I do think that there is like some, like, you think of the I can't really say iconic, it's been out for a half a week, but like the shot of Sandman and Electro and Lizard when
Yeah.
they're facing down the three Peters. Like, that shot is kind of hard to see. That wide shot, it's dark. It's too dark.
Yeah.
That shot can be brightened up. Same with Steve taking on the army in Endgame. Like, that's just kind of what the MCU does. Like, I do agree that this movie's color palette is better than a lot of MCU movies, but it's still not like,
Especially the
that
Doctor Strange stuff. Like the Doctor Strange
that's true.
stuff
That's
all
a very
actually
good
looks
point.
pretty good.
Yeah, the Grand Canyon stuff is all well lit. Like that. No, that's a good point.
Yeah. That's
I
stuff
actually kind of-
I agree. Statue of
go
Liberty
ahead.
didn't look great, but I think a lot of anything with like Doctor Strange in it and a lot of the stuff earlier in the film actually looked very good compared to most Marvel films. And like Peter's suit looked pretty good because like in Civil War, for instance, his suit is so muted. Like it's just the reds and the blues do not pop at all. It's
Yeah.
so muted.
I think
And
if
in
you
this,
want to
like
see,
I actually felt the red and the blue.
Especially if you want to see how you can properly light something and properly color something with it still being nighttime. Look at the last couple shots of this movie when he is sliding through that snow and you just get a glimpse here and there.
Yeah.
That new suit looks freaking perfect. And it is just as dark as it was at the Statue of Liberty. It is just as grim a moment. You know, like but that is well lit, it is well colored, and it looks fucking incredible. Like, and sorry.
No, it's just the thing we do. Or
No,
we're
it's
not
fine.
angry, or
Yeah.
else we'll just remove you. I have the power.
That's how you light a Spider-Man scene. That's how you color a
Yeah.
Spider-Man scene, is that last scene.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say
I just
this,
had to bring
though.
that up.
I
I've been
agree.
obsessed with. Oh, go ahead, Mara.
I agree generally about the Marvel movie color palette problem. Although for me, I actually didn't mind that the final climax felt a little darker in its overall tone, because I liked the dynamism with the brash colors of like Electro, and
Sure.
I know that Lizard, I think, was like the weakest part because he is already dark colored, and unless he was lit by Electro's electricity, he was hard to see. But I actually liked that because so much of the lighting was provided from him, that when we did get flashes of light, which was quite frequent once the actual fight started, that the shading between what part of someone's face or body was lit versus what was dark, I actually felt like it was really, really dynamic.
Sure.
But I also can completely understand why it didn't work for you. It did work for me,
Oh,
and
it
normally
worked
it
for
really
me.
wouldn't work.
Don't get me wrong. I am as big a shill of this movie as you can find. I love every single piece of this movie. I do just believe that, like, from a filmmaking technique, like, I just wish, maybe I am just nostalgic and I wish movies could look like comic book movies looked in 2002 and 2004. I just wish that, like, comic book movies weren't afraid to look like comic books. And like they can take
Yeah.
place in the real
No, I
world but
100%
still look
agree.
fantastical. And I just feel like there's very few movies doing that nowadays.
Like, I think the Suicide Squad did that really well. The Suicide
I
Squad
think
looks
Suicide
really
Squad did parts of that. Yeah, no, that's a
Right.
good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good example of a movie that embraced its fantastical comic origins while still trying to remain grounded. It's a good point.
No, I
I
mean,
just don't
in
feel
like,
I feel like that's one of the things that the MCU hasn't done very well. It has felt very grounded, and
Yeah.
to its benefit. You know, you don't buy into the situations and the character moments unless the characters feel real. And one of the ways to make the story and the characters feel real is to make it feel like you're watching them in your real world. Like, not every movie can look like even the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where everything is so blue and so light and bright, and you know Gwen is falling, but you see like stars shining through the metal. Like, not everything can look like that. So I understand. And
Yeah.
you know, me being critical of the end scene being a little bit muted is not me being critical of the movie, because I splurged my heart out over this movie.
Oh no, like I was just bringing it up because I've been recently obsessed with
Yeah.
color grading
Sure.
things. As I showed, I showed Mara. I'm trying to regrade Zack Snyder's Justice League to the color palette of a Wes Anderson movie, which is
Oh,
going
wow.
interestingly.
Oh wow!
It's a project, but yeah. But I think there are a couple MCU films that look great. For instance, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2
It's a
looks
very good point.
pretty.
Both
great.
Guardians really are very
Guardians,
vibrant.
yeah.
Both of them.
Which I appreciate that. Like, that's my favorite way for how a film can look.
Yep.
So
I love all the really small choices that they made
Yeah.
also that like really contributed to the atmosphere. Like when Electro first shows up and it is soundless. Like we're
Yes.
starting to see him materialize and it's completely quiet. And I even love that right when he shows up, they did like a little tiny bit of the EDM stuff. Like just a
yes,
little bit.
yes, I was yes, Mara.
yes,
Also, I know Dan mentioned it in his review that he thought it was smart for Flint to help him because it's better to have that character already have reconciled with his Peter Parker.
Yes.
I think it was an even smarter move than that because Flint immediately helping. Oh, by the way, also, I would like to propose, since we're going to be getting into the many Spider-Man part of the review here, that we call anytime we say Spider-Man or Peter Parker, we are talking about Tom Holland. We should
Yeah.
just say Amazing Spider-Man for Peter 3, aka Andrew Garfield, and we should just say Toby or OG Spider-Man.
I'm just gonna say
for
Toby and
Peter 2.
Andrew. Like, yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
that also
Yeah,
works. I just mean like I'm gonna say
Toby
Peter
Andrew,
Parker, and I'm gonna slip, and I'm just gonna say Peter, and I'm talking about Tom Holland.
Sure.
But I think it's even smarter because when Tom Holland's Spider-Man meets this guy he doesn't know, he's assuming he's possibly a bad guy. He immediately goes and he helps him with Electro. It sympathizes him as a person, and he doesn't see him as a villain. And then when he has this other cast of characters of villains, and they're talking about the idea of trying to help them and trying to cure them, that that he's going to look at them and see a lot more like humanity and have a lot more sympathy for them, because immediately, instantaneously, he saw empathy, humanity, and sympathy from the mindset of Sandman to help him with this new threat of Electro. It was such a smart move to like subtly, from the audience perspective, manipulate Peter's emotions and get his motivation there. Like that's what helps motivate him to do that. And I think that's really, really smart, not just from a character standpoint, but from a motivational standpoint.
Yeah. I would agree. Like, okay, so with Peter being like sympathetic towards everybody, like I think it kind of I think it kind of works. Like I think it also like beats a little bit too far with the like, you know, he's Peter Parker and he's just like a nice like innocent kid. I would have liked to see a bit more, because like the character he was in Spider-Man Homecoming, Civil War.
Oh,
Oh no, I think we might have lost Peter one for a second.
Oh, you lost me for a second?
Just a
Yeah,
little bit,
you said he felt very what?
Oh, like he felt very like very much like the same, and like he's just like like, you know, nice, like innocent, like Peter Parker. That's like kind of the same character we saw in like Homecoming or Civil War. And like I don't like I feel like the point of those sequences were to establish like he's like he's a nice kid, but like we already knew that, I feel, going into it. At least that's what I got from those sequences and those choices from his character. I don't know if you guys got something different.
I think it was a little bit different, mainly because like at first he wanted to kill them all. He wanted to send it back.
Not my problem is the very first thing he says about it.
Yes. When that scene where he talks to May about Norman, I think is incredibly, I think that informs character. I think that shows how much he's changed over the last, whatever it is, 4 or 5 plus blip years since Homecoming. Is he's not naive anymore. He's not, he's a little bit jaded to villainous behavior and to bad people. And he does not necessarily, it's not my problem what happens to these people, exactly like Mara said. And it's Aunt May who convinces him that it is his responsibility. It is he can make a choice to make these people's lives better. And I think thematically that's very resonant. And excuse me.
Yeah.
I think that makes a huge difference in who Peter is, because he's not the same character from Homecoming. He wants to send all these people back because it's not his problem. He doesn't want to deal with it. They have a better chance of surviving in their own universes. Even after May's death, he is up on the rooftop and he says, I should have sent him away. I should still send them away right now because I don't care what happens to them. If they die, it's on you. And he says that to Andrew and Toby. He says, it's your responsibility. You take care of them. It's not on me. Andrew and Toby really, make him relate to, they relate to what he's going through and sort of humanize him. But, I think he's an extremely different character. And this is also, speaking of those sequences, just sort of the scenes where he's trying to fix them when they're in Happy's apartment. God, this is the way that you show Spider-Man with Stark Tech still being Spider-Man.
Yes.
This is the way. It's
Yes.
not him making a suit in front of AC/DC. It's not him talking to Iron Man after getting dried out of a pool. It's not him having a suit lady. This is the way that you show him with tech still being Spider-Man. because like both Homecoming and Far From Home in recent years have really fallen in my estimation because
Same.
I know this is a really this isn't even contrarian. It's like I feel like it's a cold take at this point, but just like, oh man, I wish it was an actual Spider-Man movie, but I wish they were actual Spider-Man movies, but they're not. Neither of
Right.
them, neither Homecoming or Far From Home. I know it's been talked to death, and it's not like a unique talking point at this point, but like it's true. Neither of those movies are Spider-Man movies. They have bits and pieces that are Spider-Man movies. You know, the scene where he in Homecoming is trapped under the rubble and he gets out. That is a very Spider-Man moment. Like there are moments here and there, but neither of those movies feel like Spider-Man being Spider-Man. They all feel like, oh,
I agree.
it's just, oh, he has Edith, and oh, it's just a bunch of Stark tech, and that's what makes him Spider-Man. And like, yeah, you have the line where he's like, if you are nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it at all. Like, yeah, that's true. But then like show us that a little. I don't know. I
Also
just have
very
a-
hypocritical from Tony Stark.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
God, retweet. Yeah. I think there are a lot of really, really, really big
Purple retweet.
I think there's a lot of huge thematic problems with Homecoming and Far From Home. And God, this is the way when you see Peter and Norman fucking around with Doc Ock's inhibitor chip, and when you see them, all the Peters in the lab, like God, this movie gets Spider-Man in a way that no other
Yeah.
MCU Spider-Man movie has. Homecoming did not really get Spider-Man. Far From Home definitely didn't. And I just feel like finally they got a movie that really got Spider-Man. Like this is how and especially the end. Especially the end
Yeah.
when he chooses to be Spider-Man. He chooses to, the whole movie is about him, how Doctor Strange says it, right? He can't live this double life. He can't be Peter and Spider-Man. He can't try to inhabit both lives. They have to be one and the same. And at the end of the movie, when he puts down that list and he doesn't tell MJ, he chooses to be Spider-Man. And you see that when he's gliding around in that suit, there's no tech, there's no Tony, there's no Avengers. He is Spider-Man. He has chosen that path. God, that is the shit that like just hits me in the soul as that is Spider-Man. Sorry. That is what these movies should be. That is Peter Parker. And if it took to like movies that I now consider to be still good but mediocre in the MCU canon and definitely misunderstanding the character, if it took those two movies to get to this one, that's fine with me. Like I didn't see the path then, but I see it now, and like it's worth it to get these moments of Peter being Peter, of Spider-Man being Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so,
minute
okay,
that I heard him oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I completely agree as far as this is Spider-Man. I would say this is comparable to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as far as movies that understand the character of Spider-Man to like the highest possible degree that we have seen on screen. Aside, and I will always say this when I'm talking about Spider-Man, the animated show, The Spectacular Spider-Man, which was sadly canceled after 2 seasons, is wonderful. Everybody should go watch it. Regardless, these two films, No Way Home and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, are absolutely, they just get it. Like they just understand the character of Spider-Man. And then I also love the Avengers. So I like in like the Avengers talking point within this film, because like when he brings up the Avengers, he expects like it's such a part of his character. His identity is so rooted in the fact it feels like that he is an Avenger. And when we see the like the other two Peters, Andrew and Toby, when they are like, no, we don't have the Avengers. I almost wonder if that was kind of like a moment where for Peter where he like understood that he could be Spider-Man, he could be Peter without that. And then we start to see, at the end we see him with his own suit without any kind of tech. And I love that. I guess all I was saying with like all of the villain stuff is so I'm the only one of us three who has not seen it a second time yet. I am going to probably go see it a second time. I'm just worried that those middle moments will drag for me. Just because in the end, like they again, just on first watch, they felt a little inconsequential to me. By the time we got to the end, just because like all of the work is reversed anyways, and like I guess the consequence is Aunt May's death, but it gets like it's a lot to get there. for that to be the only thing to come out of it, even though it's a really big thing. But just as far as with the villains, I can't say for sure it will drag for me on rewatch, but it just feels like something just like the middle of 2012's The Avengers. Like that entire second act feels so incredibly long to me every single time I rewatch it. Everything on the helicarrier just feels so incredibly tedious. And that's one of the reasons why like I have a lot of problems with 2012's The Avengers. And that's maybe just because I wasn't, I was 7 when it came out, so I had no clue what the Avengers were. So I wasn't swept up in like the hype of it and seeing it in theaters. So like maybe it would have worked better for me. But I'm just worried that the middle of this will work similarly to how that was. But I want to. I still can't wait to rewatch it and see if that stuff does work. I also, sorry if I've seemed a little bit distracted. In like 10 minutes, I decided to try and take that what you called the iconic scene of Peter jumping towards Sandman, Electro, and Lizard, and tried to regrade it in 10 minutes to make it brighter. So. Yeah, I can screen share in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I
doesn't
got
actually
that
just-
finish.
I really love when he first says the whole "not my problem" thing, because that was
Yeah.
the exact moment that I knew that this was actually the origin story. Because in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, it's
not my
and it's the
problem.
part where that's
I
my
fail to
problem.
see how that's my problem. Yeah.
Yeah, in Amazing Spider-Man, it's not my policy. Like that's literally that's
Yes.
the thing. And it's super dark the second time you watch it when Goblin says, hope to see you
Hope to
again
see you soon,
in
man.
May.
Yes.
Yeah. Because here's the thing,
Yeah.
that he's still
Yeah,
Norman
right.
Osborn then. He's not
Yes.
Goblin yet. He doesn't turn into Goblin until he says,
Norman's on sabbatical, honey.
it's when he says just me.
Yeah. Huh?
Because like Ock is like, yo, it'll be, get rid of your darker half, it'll just be you. And then I love it because he's facing away from the camera, which is such a smart way to do it, because you can't see his crazy eyes and you can only barely hear it in his voice. And he says, just me.
Yeah.
And that's the turn, is like right there. It's so smart.
I also
Because I
love
didn't
that Willem
catch it
Dafoe.
100% the first time.
I love that Willem Dafoe was the standout performance of 2 movies this past weekend in both Nightmare Alley and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Like Willem
I
Dafoe
definitely-
is phenomenal.
I definitely think that like if he did this in 2002 Spider-Man as well, I definitely think he overdoes it, but it works. It is definitely chewing the scenery. It is that like it's not a subtle performance by any means. Like when he's getting his ass beat and he's getting punched in the face 6 times, and one of the times he turns back and gives that Joker smile, like he is going for it, but it works. Like he is not holding anything back. It like the line "Norman's on sabbatical, honey." The way he delivers that line is just too much. Like it is. He is overacting to the max, but it works because that's what the character is. Like it is not out of place.
He has
And one of
perfected
my-
overacting akin to Nick Cage. Like
Oh, I don't think Nick
those
Cage is
2 are
perfected
masters
overacting.
of overacting.
I get what you mean, though. I definitely do.
Yeah, no, I think there are a lot of movies. You're right. I'm sorry. There are a lot of movies where Nick Cage overact where it works. There's also a lot where he overacts and it doesn't
Mandy?
work.
Oh no,
I
I'm
haven't seen
talking
Mandy.
about like
I haven't seen
Mandy.
Mandy.
Okay.
My example is Colorado Space when he goes slam dunk.
Okay.
Like that's a little bit much. But no, you're totally right. There,
Got it.
Yeah. There are a lot of movies that he does overact that it does work. It works a lot. You're right.
Yeah.
So one thing that this movie does really well is it actually hides the message of its movie in early dialogue. So Doctor Strange is talking about the villains, and he says, in the grand calculus of the multiverse, their sacrifice means more than their lives.
Yeah.
But he's actually talking about what Peter's going to have to do. Him sacrificing the people that he loves means more than his life. Like him having them in his life, like that sacrifice for him to choose to be Spider-Man, that means more than him having those people that he loves in his life and putting
Wow,
them
I
at
never
risk.
thought about it. That's incredible interpretation. That's very good.
Right? This movie's dope.
Yeah.
I think we've already kind of talked about the fact that all the mirror dimension stuff is amazing. It's animated great. It's rendered.
Cool.
It's some of the best stuff I've ever seen.
And it's Spider-Man being Spider-Man. It's him using math. It's actually Spider-Man.
Archimedean spiral,
I love
bro.
that.
Yeah,
I know. It's
using
so also
geometry.
just
I
because
could do
Archimedes
geometry.
spirals are cool.
Man, that's like actually, if only we got that and less Karen and Edith in the last two movies.
Well, and I love that when they're talking about the villains, they say that they want to give each villain a second chance. And I love it because that is literally what the movie is doing. And
Yes.
also what it does for the Spider-Man. Because
Yes.
even Toby having what are generally referred to as two good / great / amazing movies, he has one dud. And Andrew Garfield, whether you even hate both his movies, he's got at least one that I really, really love. And he has one that's not so great. None of them have a straight up like their batting average is not all the way excellent. And I love the fact that it's not just redeeming the villains, it's redeeming the Spider-Man too.
I want to talk on this real quick, and then I gotta go soonish. But I want to speak on it.
Don't miss out on me, Robbie. You've got this. I'm literally only on halfway through page 2 of notes.
Oh my god,
this is going on for a long time. You're gonna
yeah.
stay
I gotta
forever.
tap out before
Nope.
that.
Nope.
But I want to talk about how there's been a lot. I've seen a lot of tweets in the last week or so that have been like, "Oh, where were you all in 2012?" Oh man, I remember having to defend Andrew Garfield in 2014, and man, I'm gonna go off for a second here. Nobody,
I'm right with you.
Nobody was attacking Andrew Garfield in those movies. Every single person I've ever talked to who's ever seen either of those movies has said, "Wow, he fucking rocked," but those movies sucked. And because, you know why they say that? Because they're right. Those movies are not good. And you are allowed to attack the movies without attacking the actor who portrays the main character. Both Amazing Spider-Man movies are bad, in my opinion. I
like the first one a
the first
lot.
one is
I
fine.
like the first one a lot. I really like the first one.
Fine. The second one is atrocious. It's really, 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 really bad.
It's real messy,
and,
yeah.
And Andrew Garfield is great. He's amazing in both of those movies. He's excellent. So don't go painting a target on your back. Oh, woe is me. I have to defend Andrew Garfield. I had to do it 10 years ago. No, you didn't. You had to defend those movies because you were wrong.
Also, though, here's the thing, though. If you generally asked people 18 months ago if they loved anything about the Amazing Spider-Man, generally speaking, everyone would say, "Oh, they were garbage." Then when you ask them, "Well, what about Andrew Garfield?" They'd say, "Oh, he was great." But the prevailing general opinion, though, is that those movies were garbage, and you had to ask people about what was good about them. That's the thing that sucked.
Nobody was attacking his position in those movies. No, I was there in 2012 and 2014. Nobody.
It was there, man.
I was there. Nobody.
I was taking naps.
Nobody was attacking his performance. He rocked in those movies. He rocks in this movie. He embraces the character. He knows what's going on. He gets it. Those movies are not good. The first one's fine if you want to say that. But man, if you want to talk about like completely just painting a target on your back and like false victimhood, it is people saying that they had to defend Andrew Garfield in 2012 because no, you didn't. Nobody said that he was bad in those movies. Nobody. People said
No,
that
Parker,
they didn't love.
I was on the playgrounds.
People said that they didn't. Okay, like I get how some people were like, "Oh, I didn't love how he was like a skater bro." Like I understand like not liking that interpretation, but nobody was lambasting those movies because of his performance. Nobody was attacking those movies because he was bad. Nobody. They were attacking those movies because the structure was bad, because the villains were bad, because the performances were bad by the villains. Like the people were lambasting those movies for the right reasons. Because like the producing and the writing and the villains were terrible, not because Andrew Garfield was terrible. So stop saying that you're some like white knight who had to defend him 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, because you didn't. Okay.
Why do you got to bring race into it, bro?
I'm sorry. I'm done with my rant. I've just been holding that in, and I've tried to find the right way to tweet about it for the last week, and I couldn't find it. So I just
and you knew there's no right way to tweet about anything anymore.
No nuance. People don't do nuance anymore, and like
I think
get,
I'm supposed to verbally say retweet.
Yeah, you can defend those
that.
movies, and that's fine. Like, if you guys say that you like the first one, like, fine. Like, I think it's pretty terrible, but like, nobody said that he sucked in those movies. I don't need to see people saying we need Amazing Spider-Man 3 because where were you 10 years ago when people were coming after my Andrew? No, they weren't. Shut up. Like, all right, I'm done.
2 more things before I know you got to go, Robbie. But I found 2 more little pieces of dialogue that I think you're really going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm putting on the gold right now. We're adding some gold to it. Anyways, okay. So Peter says to MJ when he hands her a little magic box, and he tells her that she has to go hide it, and she says she wants to go. He says, I can't do this if I know you're in danger.
Yeah.
It's literally his choice at the end of the movie. He
Yeah.
sees her little Band-Aid injury and thinks, I can't do this if you're in danger, because
Yeah.
that's what he says. He just says it so
Yeah.
matter-of-factly earlier in the movie. It's almost like we should have known.
Yeah.
And then when Goblin tells him that you're struggling to have everything you want, it's so meaningful when you think about the fact that at the end of the movie, he literally has nothing. He has
Yeah.
nothing at all except for himself as Spider-Man, which is so valuable. But like at the same time, he wanted to have everything he wanted. He wanted his family. He wanted his friends. He wanted his life. He wanted a college education. He doesn't even have his high school diploma at the end of this
Right.
movie, guys. He has nothing.
Right in
Like,
that
that's-
vein, in that same vein, the same similar line from Goblin is strong enough to have everything you want, too weak to take it. I'm paraphrasing. I don't think that's the exact quote, but
It's pretty close, yeah.
right, strong enough to have everything you want, too weak to take it. And I think that is just a very emblematic of how wrong Goblin is in his view, because at the end of the movie, Peter is strong enough to let go of everything he wants. He's strong enough to let go of his friends, of his girlfriend, of the love of his life, of his family, of Happy, of May. You know, and that scene of the graveyard is incredible. Like he lets go of
Yeah.
his like he lets go of his connection to Tony. Like he's not too weak. You know, he's strong enough to take anything he wants, but he's also strong enough to let go of everything he wants, to become the person who he should be, to take that responsibility, to assume that job as Spider-Man, and to just accept that this is who he is, and he has to use his gift for good. And I think that's really special, that Goblin just has it so wrong, has it so misconstrued, and he's strong enough to sacrifice, not too weak to overtake.
Absolutely. Do you want to stay to talk about May, or do you want to, or is it time for Robbie to go to Betty Bye?
I gotta go. But I will say that the May scene was far more powerful for me second time, mainly because of the viewing experience. I had some not nice people in my theater the first time I saw this that like low-key ruined this scene for me. But the second time I wept actual tears, and I love that this is his Uncle Ben. This is his Gwen.
Yes.
You know, presumably there was an Uncle Ben. Obviously there was, because we see, you know, references to him in Far From Home and things like and Homecoming. Like there
Suitcase,
was
yeah.
something. There was something.
We
there.
see that there was a Ben. We don't know that he was
Right.
Uncle Ben.
Right, that's true. We see that there was a Ben. We see that there was something. But this is his Uncle Ben moment. This is his Gwen moment. This is his great power comes great responsibility. This is his I'm responsible for their death, and I have to live with that. And I think that you know, there were references, you know, in Civil War when he said like when you can do the things that I can do and the bad things happen anyways, they happen because of you. Obviously that was in reference to something, but that Peter Parker didn't get it until now. And I think that's so powerful. And like I said, the graveyard scene is incredible. And yeah, I love how earnestly May delivers the great power, great responsibility line. I don't think it's overdone at all. I don't think it's
Yeah.
out of place at all. I think it's
That's why you get an Oscar winner to play Aunt May.
yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
delivered extremely, extremely well. And I also love that like Goblin is gonna loom. You know, he may be gone, but he's gonna loom over however many movies. Every single time Peter shows up on screen, that character is gonna loom. And anytime that Green Goblin, played by Willem Dafoe, persists throughout any zeitgeist, I'm all for it. So, thank you guys for having me on. I have to go to bed because it's late and I have to work tomorrow. But thank you for having me on.
Oh,
and
I forgot you do. Normally this is a Saturday.
No,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry, Peter,
no.
too.
No, you're totally okay. Thank you guys for having me on. I would love to gush about this more. And next time I'm on Basement, I will just spend the entire time gushing more. But enjoy the rest of the
That's
show.
fair.
Love you all. Have a great rest of your night.
Bye.
Bye.
You just reference for everybody. It's almost 2 a.m. in the morning as we're recording this, so that's.
Are
that's
you
why we're
Jacob,
going.
London, 2 a.m. in the morning? Sorry, that's just a fun thing he does.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, touching more on that, I love how this almost feels like a slow origin for Peter. Like I feel like now
all
we
three
have
of these
our
movies are when you think about it.
Yeah, no, this trilogy was an origin trilogy. Like this was the first act of Peter Parker. And like
Which is so great
I
though,
mean, I
because they
think
con us because he has his powers when we first meet him. Like they conned us into
yes,
thinking they weren't
100%.
doing an origin story.
But like in reality, this entire trilogy has been his origin story. Like he was never really truly like I feel like Spider-Man. Like he wore the Spider-Man suit, but he was never truly Spider-Man until the end of this film where he makes his own suit. Like the suit was not given to him. Like obviously he had his like, he had his suit that he made in like Homecoming. But like this really feels like it was like he made his own suit that actually like, looks good. And he jumps out of the window, and he is freed of he is both like lost everything, but also feels like so free, and he's just swinging through the snow. And no, this is not a Christmas movie just because they wear Christmas hats. And I'm already seeing the argument being made, but like it's just I think Sony and Marvel have already announced the second trilogy, right?
I hadn't seen it, but I also hadn't been paying attention to it either. I've been a little busy.
I believe that they announced that there's going to be a second trilogy of films with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. So I feel like that's
Alright.
our second act, and I don't know if we'll get like a third trilogy. That might be a lot. That'd be 9 Spider-Man movies, with the same actor and cast. But like I think it could be pulled off. Like I think the world that they're building with these characters is really good. I mean, I'm assuming Spider-Man 4 we're doing Venom stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speculate too heavily on that because I don't want to either anticipate positively or negatively what they could do. I want to just focus on how good this is, or at least for now.
Yes. Yes.
um,
Um,
let's
yeah.
talk about May because I think this is the absolute best, most moving origin moment as far as like the parent figure because I do think that the Gwen Stacy stuff
Yeah.
was great because Andrew Garfield's such a great actor. But I love the idea that when Uncle Ben died both times, we only cared about those characters because we either knew the comics or because we just knew Peter cared. We cared because Peter cared.
Yeah.
We got to know
Yeah.
Aunt May on our own as viewers. We cared about her dying because we cared, not because Peter cared. And I think
100%.
that's a big difference.
100%. That's what I'm saying. Like having a 6-hour origin story for this character works way better than having a 20-minute origin story for this character.
Definitely.
Like because I mean just the world of Peter Parker and like the world of this character is so dense. Like Spider-Man is probably the best supporting cast of any comic book character aside from Batman. Like this is such a dense supporting cast, and it's so great to see it all fleshed out.
Absolutely.
Also, I love how we still have our we still have Peter 2 behind us. It's like we still have
true. I think that there was just some
Right.
fantastic acting from Marissa Tomei dying because, I mean, there's been YouTube video after YouTube video from like doctors and from acting coaches and stuff. And I'm not even talking about that in and of itself, but just that it felt so believable. And I think that in a way it was both smart for the viewer and also a kindness to the character that she legitimately didn't know she was dying. And I think that honestly, that is probably what you'd really be feeling in that moment. I mean, especially because of things like adrenaline, and she's worried about Peter. She's not worried about herself because, she is his sole parent figure. She was his mom. She was his dad. And so
Yeah.
I just thought that was such a smart way to do it because we didn't have to watch her panic. We didn't. And I love that she told him, with great power must also come great responsibility, not on her actual deathbed. She thinks she's fine. We probably think she's fine at that point. I mean, I suspected because it's like, you got hit by a glider. I don't think that's going to,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be okay. But she actually seemed pretty strong. She was just a little short of breath. She hadn't even said, I just need to catch my breath yet. Like, I love that it wasn't the deathbed line.
Yeah. No, that one, like the moment that made me cry actual human tears was the Andrew Garfield catching MJ. But like this was pretty close. Like this was really, really close because it's done so beautifully. Also, just again the way this is shot, I love the fire in the background and just like everything breaking down. Like it feels so like singular because like there's so much stuff going around it. Like you have the snipers out there like Happy's getting arrested. Like there's so much going on around it, but every single time, and that also feels so chaotic. Like we see this also in the sound design, right?
Mhm.
Everything out there feels so chaotic, and every single time we cut back to Peter and May, everything feels so quiet. Like the color feels more fleshed out. The camera's a lot more focused on them. Whereas everything else was like very like wide angles where you would see like everything going on, but everything was so focused in it, like there was so much intent with everything whenever they would cut back, which I think was a really good way. Like initially I was skeptical about like cutting back and forth considering it was, this moment. But I think it's actually done pretty well how it's executed.
Absolutely. I also really appreciate too, like right as Goblin's leaving and he throws all the pumpkin bombs. I love
Yeah.
how much practical destruction that they actually did as well, like with the sets
Yeah.
and the explosions and
Oh
the
yeah.
cars and the awning falling. Like it's not all just computer stuff. They did some really great practical destruction work too, because I think that that helps to sell it because it does feel real. Because guess what? It is. It's tangible. Like even with
Yeah.
Dune that had fantastic like smoke, water, and fire that was computer generated in its in the movie, and it looked fantastic. It still doesn't. I mean, and it looked nearly real, like about as real as it could possibly be, considering the fact that I knew it was fake. But that stuff feels real because it is real, and it adds so much authenticity to it when you see like fake rubble around that is made of styrofoam and stuff like that. It doesn't feel just you want to believe it because it tricks your mind into saying that it really happened because you saw something really explode.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. Um yeah, it's I do think it's funny though. So we always talk about this is kind of a tangent. But we always talk about Marissa Tomei as like an Oscar winner and like she's a great actress, but it's funny because she won her Oscar for My Cousin Vinny, which is a movie that
Yep.
I absolutely love, but it is not a typical Oscar performance.
No,
It's like
winning an Oscar for a comedy is hard hard.
yeah. There are still people who like think that there was like tampering with the voting for her to win,
Oh yeah,
which like
conspiracy
I
theorists
don't.
still exist.
Oh yeah, no. Um, what? I haven't heard anything about conspiracy theorists over the past, 1 year and 9 months. Nothing at all.
Oh good, I'm glad. I just want to make sure that you're okay.
But but yeah,
Too
it
soon?
I've had some conversations with people no longer talk to.
Oh my, this is getting real world here, Trevor.
Yeah, it's just I love. I think she's very deserving of an Oscar win. It's just funny that that's what she won her Oscar for.
Agreed.
Um, Speaking of, okay, I do want to bring in awards quick because I like to talk
Yes,
about awards. I
I
have
do.
an awards podcast that's I talk lots about awards. So, did you see the Oscar shortlist at all?
I did. I don't.
So
We can't say that
Spider-Man,
one word though.
yeah,
We
yeah,
can't say that one word though. That trigger word for you.
yeah. I'm I was that was
You're
almost
not
day
okay.
ruining news. Like I'm so incredibly mad. It starts with a T and ends with an E, and it's directed by Julia Ducournau, and it is quite possibly like it's maybe the best film of the year. I need to rewatch it. Anyways,
I'm so sorry
um,
the Academy broke you. I really am. It's mean.
I yeah, it's yeah, but Lamb somehow got on the short list, so that's a plus for me.
Hmm.
Even though that's maybe weirder than I don't know. I don't understand how that got on. Anyways, we're talking about Spider-Man, and Spider-Man got onto both sound and visual effects.
Hmm.
And I don't know about sound, but I think it could pick up a visual effects nomination. I think it's deserving. The big
I
thing
agree.
though is I have a bold prediction. I think that the Producers Guild of America will nominate this for Best Picture.
Oh, I
Here's
would
why.
kind of love that.
Star Trek 2009 got nominated. We saw
Hmm.
Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman picked up a nomination. I believe I want to say Deadpool got in. Um, I think I can't remember, but like we've seen blockbuster like achievements get in before. There's another one that I'm missing from like 2013, 2014. That was like a big blockbuster type film. That made it into the Academy. Oh, it's The Force Awakens. That was 2015. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Star Wars:
yeah.
The Force Awakens definitely got in. So yeah, I think I'm misconstruing Deadpool. I think I'm thinking of like another over the top comedy, Borat, because both Borats got in, which is kind of crazy
Mm.
that both Borat movies got nominated for Best Picture at PGA.
It's also
And I
crazy
just
that both of
associate
them
that with Deadpool.
got nominated for Best Original Screenplay, which
Yeah,
set a freaking
yeah,
Oscar
best
record.
adapted,
Or adapted, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, which The Godfather, yeah, The Godfather is the
Exactly,
only
yeah.
other.
Hey, bud, please don't show your
But
butts
yeah,
in
no,
places.
I think. I mean, we saw it with Star Trek, we saw it with Star Wars, we saw it with Wonder Woman. I mean, obviously Black Panther happened and that happened for Best Picture. But we've seen
Mhm.
these technical achievements happen before, and especially with things like House of Gucci, Don't Look Up, Being the Ricardos, and Nightmare Alley all dropping pretty considerably. As far as just critical reception and Oscar buzz, like I don't know if this probably doesn't get into Best Picture at the Oscars, but I think PJ nominates it. And I'd be very,
See that?
very here for that. That's my bold prediction. But yeah, at the Oscars, I think will probably be limited to visual effects, even though Willem Dafoe is so worthy.
I know, right?
For our basement words, like I kind of wanna pair films together. Like he can be nominated for both Nightmare Alley and this.
Oh, you know what? I have a proposal. What about like career in film for the year? Because I think Adam Driver definitely.
Yeah,
I think that he might end up being overlooked
Andrew
by the
Garfield
Academy
even.
because, well, yeah, Andrew Garfield. It's like, see, look, we've already got 3 nominees already. We've got
Amy
Willem
Faye and
Dafoe,
Tick
Andrew
Boom.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Olivia Colman, because she's gonna be in The Lost Daughter and she was great in Mitchell's vs. the Machines.
Okay, I think we got a new category.
We got a new category, everybody. Best year in film.
Um,
But Spider-Man.
Circling back to Spider-Man, one thing that I really loved is after things are said and done, and Happy drives up and he sees, Peter there with May. And obviously he's heartbroken for May because he was clearly in love with her. But I love the fact that the very first thing he does, like we're seeing this in slow motion, but this is happening in the matter of like 2, 3, 4 actual real life seconds. He says, Peter, run. Like
Yeah.
the idea that even though he's probably thinking more with his heart for his loss, or at least we'd assume so, you see that he
Yeah.
has this actual real care and love for Peter. And I just think that that's so sweet.
Yeah, especially because like they've always had this like kind of antagonistic relationship in the past. But like there is like a deep care there. Um you were talking about themes a bit earlier, and I think another major theme
Mhm.
of this is not only like redemption, but just second chances. Like not only
Yes.
did Marvel redeem a lot of these characters, and not even redeem because like it's not like Parker was saying, it's not like Andrew Garfield was bad as Spider-Man. He was great. I mean, so is Toby, except for those scenes in Spider-Man 3. But like we got to see them again. Like they got their second chance with some of the villains, which weren't so great. They got their redemption, but then also for the characters, Andrew Peter, he got his redemption when he saved MJ. And that's such a beautiful moment. Like I will never forget when MJ falls, right? We see Tom Peter get knocked away. And the camera cuts to to Andrew. I think everybody in the theater just stood up. It was
Well,
the
yeah, when you
most
see
just
him soundlessly
magical
shout
moment.
no, like it's
Yeah.
so good. And I wish that I had
Like
never
everybody in
seen
the theater.
anything to lead me to believe that, because that moment there would have just like gutted me, because I would have known it was coming then, but only like 2 seconds before it happened, I would have been a puddle, a
Yeah.
Mara puddle.
When's the last time? Because I know you've said you don't cry very easily in film. When was the last time you cried in a film?
okay, that's tough because people stuff doesn't like I can feel the
Oh,
stuff, but
animals.
I'm not gonna outwardly feel the stuff. If it's an animal thing, I can't deal with animal things. I almost walked out of The Lion King because it was so photorealistic. I was like, I can't watch Mufasa get stampeded to death. I can't handle that. So
Yeah,
yeah. But I mean,
yeah,
I still feel the stuff. It's just like it
yeah.
feels so inappropriate to show the stuff. But like that
Okay.
that moment had me in the feels, absolutely. And
Yeah.
but before we get to
I need
that,
to make a
oh,
yes.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was thinking
No,
I
no,
need to
no.
make a letterbox list of all the movies I've cried in. Because
Oh
it's
God, that'd be every animal movie probably ever for me.
how did you, without spoilers, how did you feel about a couple of things in The King's Man? Because there were
Oh wait.
some moments of animal
Oh, I didn't
violence.
like. Mm-mm,
Me neither. That
no.
when animals get hurt, that also hurts me a lot. Like I wouldn't go as like as far to say that gets me more, but it's pretty similar. I know Christian Harloff, who he does a trivia thingy.
Never heard of it.
He um I think he said on like it was one of the like Collider things at one point, but he was like somebody sent in a thing saying basically what you were saying, like they were talking about Endgame, and they were like, yeah, the Tony thing didn't get me, like any kind of human things don't make me cry, but like John Wick got me. Like I couldn't even like finish that movie. Like that, like animals just make me cry. And Harloff, he was like, yeah, like that's perfectly acceptable to say, but like if you said it the other way around, people would think you're a psychopath if you're like, yeah, I cried when Iron Man died, but I don't care about the dogs, like whatever. Because like like we
Oh no, Peter
like
won.
we like look at this precious sleeping kitty. Like
Oh,
he's
here, look at this very
he's
awake
very
kitty.
adorable.
Come here. Say hi, buddy.
Cats on screen. See, like they're so adorable. Like the thought of like anything like that's not like good happening to them is like so terrible because like let's be honest, animals are way cuter than people.
Oh yeah.
Like like they just look adorable.
I mean, I think,
Like
well, I mean, I've explained it before, but one of the reasons why, just to kind of enlighten people, why I'm so sensitive about animals is the idea that number one, they depend on us for everything. Now, for example,
yeah,
kids also depend on their parents for everything. But if a
yes,
child is being mistreated or abused, ideally, hopefully, at some point, something that they do will give someone a sign, whether it's their behavior, a teacher at school, a family member, a friend, a parent of a friend. Like there are people that a child can go to, and there are signs that they can give to other people around them that can get authorities and people involved to try to get them into a better situation. Animals can't go ask someone for help. Like an animal
yeah.
can't say, hey,
We
my
also
mom
don't
hurts
speak
me, my mom
animal.
doesn't feed me, my
Yeah,
mom hurts me.
yeah. Like we don't speak any animal languages yet.
Yet.
Yet. Um but, but like we as of now we don't speak any animal languages, so like we can't ask them like what's up, like yeah, they're so like innocent, and like they can't do anything, like like you said, like that like that's how people like they'll like abuse their dogs, and it's not like the dogs can say anything, like they're
Well, and
just
then
like
animals love you unconditionally.
yeah,
It's so
yeah,
pure.
100%. Like this has just turned into the animal cast,
I was
but
going to say
like
we've
we
gotten
love
way off
animals here.
topic.
um
Let's talk about spiders real quick.
yes,
Okay, so this happened in both of my screenings, and it made me so incredibly happy. So I could tell me and the 6 other people in my theater that were true amazing Spider-Man fans, whether they are just like comics fans, fans of those movies, specifically Andrew Garfield fans, whatever, but like the true fans. So the second the portal opens and he turns around and you can see the
yes,
long articulated legs, like, because I recognize that suit right away. And I could hear
yeah,
6 other people like gasp and like a little like a And then there was the second wave of people, that was most of the theater, that recognized he wasn't Tom Holland when he walked through the portal because, I mean, he's obviously so incredibly tall, and they heard him speak through the mask. And so that was the first wave of applause. Then there was him pulling the mask off, which was the last group of people who clearly didn't recognize his voice or know enough about who he was. And so I love that there were like 3 waves of things happening when Andrew Garfield arrived. That was quite interesting. Oh no, did I lose Peter 1? I lost Peter 1, I think, on a really weird looking freeze frame. Oh, I'm sorry, Peter 1. Well, I'm going to keep talking until Peter 1 gets back. I have told him this, so he's heard this before, so he's not really missing anything. But yeah, I mean, I got to say for me, obviously the standout villain performance is Willem Dafoe. I think most people agree on that. Like, part of it is that he did get some of the most important parts to play, like plot wise and character development wise, but also he's just so good. Oh, it's just me now. Hello. He'll be back. But I think for me, the standout Spider performance, and I'm not saying Tom Holland was not fantastic, he was, but for me, it's Andrew Garfield. I thought he was just phenomenal. I even love just kind of the interplay when he arrives, like walk or crawl around on the ceiling. Like, that's a very this MJ thing to say. Him reacting the way that he does and the way he interacts with Ned and MJ, it's very much that Peter Parker. And I like those moments also. So for example, like May dies, and we sit with that for a little bit. Like, it doesn't immediately, like when they transition to the scene where Ned and MJ do get the portal, and then we get the Andrew Garfield of it all. It's a quiet moment when we transition. It's just them sitting together. It's them talking about, do I push this button? It's very slow. It's very deliberate. It's not rushed. There's not really any comedy in it. They're just talking about what should we do, and like they wish that they could talk to Peter. And so I think that because one thing Trevor's talked about, and I'll let him speak to it in his own words also, is that he felt like there was a little bit of herky jerkiness to the tonality. And when the moments were high highs and low lows. And I kind of disagreed, especially on the second viewing. I felt like the movie was exactly the roller coaster that you want and that you need, that did have high highs and low lows. But I felt like it took the amount of time to transition to the next one, because it's several minutes in between May actually dying and then us getting Andrew Garfield. Excuse me. And so I think that, like, going from that incredibly low point, like, you know, the heart of that interaction in that movie, to this big high, I think it worked for me. It really did. I love Toby showing up. I agree with Robbie. I am so glad they didn't DH him. I like that we get these different Peter Parkers at different parts of their lives, having reckoned with their losses in different ways and at different points in their trauma and their recovery from trauma. I think that that's a very valuable thing, not just because Tom Holland Spider-Man needed them and needed to have this happen in order for him to become the Spider-Man that he's supposed to be, but also just from an engaging standpoint for the viewer. I'm gonna keep talking because he's not back yet. So if somehow, some way, he doesn't come back, this might get boring, but I will do my very best. So, because I could talk about this movie on my own for like another hour and a half. So they're on the roof, and I know Trevor and I are going to talk about this, but I'll at least get it started. I love seeing Ned and MJ and Peter and just kind of holding each other. I think that moment, like showing how close they are, means so much more, knowing that they have no idea who he is and that he ever existed to them at the end of the movie. I think you need those moments. Obviously, I love he says it again on the roof. He says, "Not my problem." And I love that he says that then, because even after May telling him, you know, with great power must also come great responsibility, he hasn't pivoted yet. He hasn't had that moment of change yet. You'd think that he would. And I like the fact that he needs to hear what Toby and Andrew tell him. And he needs Toby to finish the line for it to really, like, that's the exact moment that it sinks in and that he changes. And I like that he needed them. Like, May dying was not enough for him to to become and evolve into the choice of being Spider-Man and protecting the people that he loves by disappearing from their lives entirely. I think that that was so important. Because it also justified why they needed to be in the film and why they needed to be in the film so long. If it had just been May died, he changed. He also talks with spider people. He bonds with them over shared loss, and then they fight some monsters at the end. I don't think that it would have meant as much. So I really like that. I felt like that was necessary. I'm gonna keep talking because it's still not back yet. Hey, buddy. Hi. Yes, I know. Hello. Sorry, cat. I'm really surprised he hasn't gone to sleep either in my lap or on one of the mats or in his little bed that was a Hanukkah gift. So he's just going to keep walking around. He's been doing this for 2 hours. I love the discussion, both the first small primary discussion and then the longer one at Statue of Liberty about the organic web shooters, because that is such a perfect conversation. This movie perfectly balanced the conversations fans have had and then showing them and playing them back to us through the spider people. I love that. It's exactly what they would ask. It's exactly what they would say. It's like, we can't do that. Of course, we're going to be curious about it. I really, really love when they're in the lab and Ned says, I promise I won't turn into a villain and try to kill you, particularly because of his comics history as the Hobgoblin. So part of me is like, I don't want to be the person that reads too much into it, but you know, could that be a thing that ends up happening? Because here's the interesting part about Ned no longer knowing Peter Parker and no longer knowing Spider-Man as a person that he cares about. He actually could, at some point, something could happen to him and separate completely from Spider-Man and Peter Parker, he could become a hobgoblin. And then he could become a nemesis to him, not knowing that there was a personal connection there that he ever had. It would only be one-sided, which I think could actually be really, really interesting because it makes fighting your villain when you love that person and they hate you or they don't care about you at all. You mean nothing to them because you literally are nothing to them. It is a really interesting dynamic. And I'm not saying that they need to do that or I hope they do that. I just mean the door is open for that. I love the whole thing with J. Jonah Jameson where it's Spider-Man hates national monuments. So in my head canon, I really want to see some sort of confrontation at the, wow, my brain just melted. The thingy with the president's faces on it, Mount Rushmore, because it's kind of ugly anyway. So we could stand to destroy it and redo it. I hate the fact that, number one, I want it to be my lifelong ambition that Andrew Garfield cracks my back, but also I hate that now probably everyone is going to ask him that. So I'll never, ever ask him that. Just, I won't. I know some people have criticized or said that they felt like it was too much or it didn't work, that those really small moments between the Spider-Men, like the cracking the back thing and just that little discussion and interplay that they have before the big confrontation. Because that's exactly Spider-Man, like those small moments, that's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man crap. That's exactly what they would do. And I like that they took that time. I know that it's a 2.5 hour movie, and I was very concerned. One of the first things I asked Dan when he came out of it at his, hold on a second. Is everything okay? Okay. Heard a loud noise. Everything's fine, apparently. What was I saying? Oh, well, I guess it doesn't matter what I was saying. Oh, okay. I think that those small moments mattered. And I asked Dan when he came out of his critic screening, did they justify a 2.5 hour runtime? And he's like, yeah, they most definitely did. And I agree, because as much as like the big fighting and the cryings and all of those other important things happening, I liked that stuff. I was very happy with it. If they were going to bring these people in, I wanted them to be used and used in a meaningful way. I absolutely love the dad talk about you're amazing to Andrew Garfield via Tobey Maguire, because honestly, though, I do think that one of the things that I love is that it's not just redeeming the villains. It's not just redeeming the heroes. It's also redeeming, I think, the people playing those roles, especially the ones that may have been overall let down in the public perception because they had, especially Andrew Garfield, since his second and last film prior to this was not well received. because he was an amazing Spider-Man. He was an amazing Peter Parker. He is an amazing actor. And he oozed love for that character when he played him previously. He did in this movie. And one of the things I love the most is that, so if we're going to talk like live action Spider-Man, because I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is very singular and it's amazing and distinct. And I don't want to throw it in for this comparison, but Tom Holland has at least what previously to right now. Like I know plenty of people who say that like Homecoming is their favorite Spider-Man movie. Far From Home is also high up on a lot of people's lists. I know that it may have fallen into disfavor as of late. I know for me, they've kind of ticked down just a little bit in my estimation upon a rewatch of every Spider-Man movie. But they're overall, though, looked at very favorably. Spider-Man 2002 and Spider-Man 2 are considered by most people to be absolutely fantastic movies, some of the best of Spider-Man. And I think even people like me and like Trevor and even like Dan, who also have affection for the first Amazing Spider-Man film, I don't really think that it's a very small minority of people who would say that like that was their number one Spider-Man movie prior to this, and that's totally fine. But I love that now Andrew Garfield gets to be in what is some people's best favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, or very, very nearly, at least in, I'd say 80% or more of people's like top five. Unless the movie just really didn't hit for them. Like this is a movie that's overall just like so beloved by people right away. And I also love that they got to be in it all together. Like Toby has two great movies that people have loved since they came out. And yeah, he is the third one, but like, let's not talk about that. Tom Holland has these new ones and he has his appearances in the MCU without solo movies. Like people love him. And even though people loved Andrew Garfield, they didn't really love his movies. And I like though that now the three of them get to share together in what is one of just the best Spider-Man movies. So I'm super happy for them. I'm with Robbie, by the way. I absolutely love the Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3 joke. I laughed even harder the second time. That's a very Amazing Spider-Man Peter Parker thing to say. Hi, buddy. Yeah, I know. I'm with you here. By the way, Trevor's still not back yet. So if I'm finishing this, I'm really sorry. I hope it's not boring because it's kind of me just listing stuff because I'm just going through my notes, but not as much interaction when it's just me. Trevor's internet went out. So I'm going to at least keep talking for a little bit about my thoughts, and then I will either edit in further talk with Trevor, add it in, or just supplement it after this anyway. I mean, just depends on how boring I end up playing this back and finding that it is. So I will try to be expeditious since it's already been almost 2 hours. Please, Sir Mouse, you're killing me right now. Okay, I absolutely love the shot of all three of the Spider-Men on Liberty's crown in their individual, like, typical poses. I really love that. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but when they're trying to organize getting the arc reactor from Electro, that it's kind of a redo of the attack of Thanos on Titan that Spidey participated in. So in a way, that's actually really cool because when they talk about how they don't know how to work as a team, and Holland Parker is like, yes, I know how to work as a team. I was on the Avengers, which again, great funny joke. But I thought that was really interesting because it's small connective tissue like that works in what you could call like an Easter eggy format, but also it makes sense because if that play almost worked, if Peter Quill wasn't, an emotional dum-dum, then it would have worked. But anyways, I think a lot of people have mentioned also, I love that small moment with Electro talking to Amazing Spider-Man about his preconceptions about who he might be. And then, the obvious nod to Into the Spider-Verse. Very, very great. Okay, I have to talk about Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, there's paint on me. Saving MJ, because that is my absolute standout favorite moment of the film, both on my first viewing and my second one. It hit me right in the feels. My first theater was just really it was pretty similar to this reaction, but I'll add in what was different because it was great. I love that people gasped the second that Tom Holland's Peter Parker gets knocked away. I heard a second gasp when we see Amazing Spider-Man silently shouting no. I love the cheers when they saw him going for her before he even got there, and then the enormous reaction when he did, and just the entire time of him reacting to it. That is such a small moment, and even just like the not just the time duration, but the fact that it's something so small. Like the idea that sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. Like, sure, the idea of Goblin effectively being the overall cause of Gwen Stacy dying, sure. But in our minds, he blames himself for not saving her, or for her being there, or any amount of things, like not paying attention to Ghost Dad and not leaving her alone. All of that stuff. Like, that self-blame is almost worse than anything anyone else could ever do to us about blame. So I like the idea that he even says it, that he has never been able to forgive himself. And I like the idea that in that moment, I think that a tremendous amount of healing happened. So just that's my favorite moment of the movie. But here's the thing that was different in my second showing. After it happens, in that like slightly quiet moment right before we just like jump back into the action, I heard a guy say, "I'm not crying, you're crying." It was so funny. I don't think he was ashamed, but it was also it was very funny. A lot of people laughed. Anyways, okay. So refocusing. I got a lot of notes. I'm hurrying. I really like that when Amazing Spider-Man talked about pulling his punches, that we actually see, like, we know, especially people that know a lot about Spider-Man, we know how strong he is. But I love the idea that when you see Tom Holland Spider-Man punching into that metal when he's fighting Goblin, like, you actually see it. So not only does Amazing Spider-Man talk about no longer pulling his punches because he's just like raging and he's angry after Gwen dying, you're like, I'm pretty sure you killed people, but now I'm like really, really sure you killed people. I mean, and that's some pretty dark stuff. I love the idea that when he picks up the glider and he's gonna try to kill Green Goblin, and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man comes in and stops him. Just from an actual literal point of view, I like the idea of thinking about, you're actually looking into your own eyes. And I know they're not physically the same person. It's not like saying this is the copy of you or this is the identical twin of you. It's a multiverse version of you. But there's also so much, they've already figured out there's so much connective tissue between who they are and how they've become who they are, and where they're all, the younger versions of them, where they're going. But I just imagine, like, what on earth would that be like to just look into your own eyes in that moment? And I like that it's quiet. I'm just going to read you this note verbatim. Toby getting stabbed may have broken someone in my theater. There was a girl, I can't even begin to simulate what it sounded like, but when Toby got stabbed, I think she might have been stabbed. It was like a painful noise I didn't know someone could make in a movie. I think she's fine. Toby seemed like he was fine. I mean, again, anytime you see somebody with a blade and then they're behind a character and you can't see them, I'm like, oh yeah, he getting stabbed. I'm glad they didn't kill him, but still. I also think one of the A+ comedy lines of the movie was "Is that happening or am I dying?" Especially because think about this guy, like, magic is not a thing in his universe that we've ever seen or that we've heard him describe that he's ever experienced. So of course that would be just crazy town banana pants to him. I also love, though, that when they are talking about magic before, that Amazing Spider-Man says, like, oh, they have magic on your world too, because I kind of want to know what that means a little bit more. That could be something that we see in the future or that we understand more. One of my favorite superhero moments now of all time, is the Spider-Man group hug before, like when he's getting ready to do his goodbyes and stuff. It's just it's a cathartic moment, I think, because there's a lot of goodwill and a lot of gratitude I think they each have for each other and what they've been able to do. Like when they talked about like what villains they've fought and what stuff they've done. I mean, Tobey Maguire really set the standard, obviously, for live action Spider-Man because he was the standard. Those Raimi films, between that and X-Men, really helped propel the idea that these things are marketable properties, that they can make people connect and can make people feel things. But they each did something and contributed something to why people love the character, and the idea that, they can just hug it out, both as characters and as actors, I think was just such a sweet thing. So one thing, I'm just going to put it out there. Someone's probably already said it now, but I said it right after I saw the movie. I'm just pointing it out because I did this after Passengers. Trevor will tell you. I discussed how Passengers could have been way better, and then someone else made a video about it like years after I said it, and then it got a lot of attention, and I was like, I guess I should have done that. Here's my thing. I don't want them to undo everything that's been done regarding the spell and taking away Peter Parker from everyone's memories. I don't want them to just undo it. I think that it kind of it takes away all of the meaning behind him sacrificing his relationship with those people. And if they did, though, the easy way out of it is Wanda, because we already know that she's going to continue to be a prominent figure, and because she's powered by the Mind Stone, she has, I believe, easily the powers to be able to make this happen. I mean, even before we had the whole tease about chaos magic and, her full and complete change into the Scarlet Witch. I mean, look at what she did with the minds of the people in Westview. I mean, she clearly could manipulate their minds and probably fix it. I don't know that I want that to happen, but still, it could happen. I love that at the end in the coffee shop, donut shop, whatever, that MJ is still wearing the broken black dahlia necklace that she's been wearing the whole movie. And I kind of wonder in my mind, I'm like, does she have any idea where she got that now? Is it just a thing where she looks down and she's like, oh, I love this broken necklace that no one gave me that I love so much? It's just interesting. I'm not nitpicking. It's just one of those things where, you kind of wonder to yourself, it's like, how does she think about that now? It's just silly. I promise we're on the last page. I love watching. I think they took the right amount of time to watch Peter make the hero's choice, choosing MJ by letting her go. He hurts himself to protect her, and that's literally exactly what the hero's sacrifice is to hurt yourself, like do things at your own expense for other people. Characterizing this Aunt May as an activist throughout all of her appearances was a super, super smart move, because it not only informs the early actions of Peter Parker as Spider-Man, as Trevor and Robbie mentioned, the way he talks about using his gifts to Tony Stark in Civil War, why he would be compelled to do that before his Uncle Ben moment, because that's who May is. That's who she would raise him to be, to share those values. So I think that was incredibly smart. I love thinking about how much Peter gave up. He didn't just give up his best friend. He didn't just give up his girlfriend. He didn't just lose his aunt. He didn't give up a mentoring relationship with somebody like Happy, and anyone else who knew him. He gave up his own future, possibly forever, but definitely at least for a little while. He was getting ready to, let's go back to 10 minutes before the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. He was applying to MIT. He was probably going to get in. So were his friends. I love that they showed, one of the reasons why I love Amazing Spider-Man also, they showed that these two Peter Parkers are smart. We got told that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was smart, and he does demonstrate a little bit of intellect in a couple of classroom scenes and a couple discussions, but we don't see him puzzling things out as Spider-Man. One of the reasons why I love certain Batman movies more than others is I like when Batman actually gets to be the world's greatest detective. And I love when we get to see Spider-Man make stuff and solve problems and figure out how to do things. And both Garfield's and Holland's Spider-Man get to do this. But he is a smart person. He is now effectively a high school dropout, because we see the GED book in his little box. So he definitely isn't going to be doing anything related to formal high school. With a GED, even with his intellect and things like standardized tests, etc., he's not going to MIT. Maybe they'll end up going the Columbia route for him, because obviously he's staying in New York. But he had everything going for him, and he has absolutely nothing going for him at the end. Love the homemade shiny suit at the end. Absolutely agree. I'm just reading through the end of my notes. One of the things about the Venom scene, it's very fascinating to me to think about explaining the blip to someone. Like, it's actually a real thing. This person has never heard of it before, and explaining it to them. I just find that type of conversation interesting. Kind of like how in Hawkeye, I actually love that we finally got to see what the blip was like for people that blipped, not just for people watching people, dust and then come back. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the whole Mephisto guy. Trevor and I were joking that we had the exact same guy in both of our screenings, because right after the end of the Doctor Strange 2 tease, we both had someone just kind of stand up and be like, "Oh, I thought there was going to be more Mephisto stuff. Oh, maybe he's Mephisto." And it's just, that's just everyone's everything right now is Mephisto. So, anyways, I've talked nonstop for probably like 20 minutes without Trevor. So, that was page 6. Six pages of notes from the movie. Come on, I'm proving it. I think I turned all the pages. Either way, I will be back in another segment where I will be in a better room with better acoustics, better lighting, and a fresh shower. And I will talk to Trevor more about this movie. Depending on how it all gets cut together, I might keep this chunk in and just add that as a supplement. If I play this back and I don't think it's like incredibly boring or just disjointed or weird, because we appreciate your viewership and that we have such a great community of people here, and we don't want to abuse your generosity by boring you. So for now, I will be signing off, but depending on how this all comes together, this version of me will see you again in a little while, or the past version of me will see you again. So, bye. Maybe. Okay, so we're back less than 24 hours later. I'm in the same room because I just figured let's just stay cohesive here.
Yep.
I'm joined back by Peter One again, thank goodness. We're going to keep talking about things from where we left off, and then we're just going to see how that goes. And a multiverse version of me might have had a conversation with myself previous to this, after this, I don't know.
Internet's hard. And we're just gonna go with it. Peter One had to go to another reality for a little bit.
Yep, and Peter 3 had to wrap this gorgeous box. So
you have like really great wrapping skills. My wrapping skills are terrible.
I am really good at wrapping gifts.
Yeah. Have you seen Arthur Christmas?
No, I haven't.
Okay. There's an elf in that who prides themselves in being able to wrap a gift with 3 pieces of sticky tape. 3. And they're Irish, and it's great.
But I like to actually tape every single piece down, so that way people can't get their fingers underneath and they have to really fight for it.
Yeah. Yeah, you make people earn their gifts.
I do. Wait till Christmas, Trevor. You're gonna have to earn that.
Yeah. But
So,
Spider-Man.
Aunt May died. Spoiler alert. Oh, hold on. I didn't put the thing up. Hold on. Oh, okay. Now I can say it.
Good. Okay.
Aunt May died.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Wait, what? I can't believe this. What am I supposed to do now? I don't. Yeah. So and oh, did I go away?
Yeah, Peter One went away for a second, and you missed something really sweet that I did.
But yeah, no. So Aunt May's dead. And I think we touched on this a little bit, and just about how this was a big origin story for Peter, and how that was executed really, really well. But as soon as he leaves Aunt May's death is when the movie really kicks into high gear. That's when it's all gas, no brake, doesn't look back. So I know you said that you feel differently on second watch. On first watch, it felt like the transition, it like it felt like Andrew and Peter came in way too soon after May's death. Um, just like from the theater going from like this somber moment to like everybody cheering. I would have liked to like sit in the depression for a little bit longer of May's death before like, standing on my feet and clapping because I get to see Andrew Garfield in a Spider-Man suit again. But you said that plays a bit differently on rewatch for you?
I think I can't wait for you to do a second watch because, um, like, even just the fact that how much notes I have in between Happy saying "Run, Peter," and then me talking about the three waves of applause that there were from the Andrew Garfield introduction. Because when that scene transitions, it's really quiet. It's just MJ and Ned sitting at a table discussing they haven't heard from Peter. Should she press the button?
Mm,
And it actually is several minutes before Ned is like, "I wish I could talk to Peter." And then it's another like 90 seconds from that point until we actually get Andrew Garfield. So I think I get why in the theater, especially the first time, and you may still completely think that it was a little too quick of a pivot, but I feel like that really quiet, just simple, there's no comedy in their conversation when they're just talking about like, what do we do? We haven't heard from him. I can't get a hold of him. Should I just press this button? That's what he told me to do. Um, so it's a little longer, I think, than maybe you realized the first time because you're just
yeah,
thinking of that low, low and that like high, high. But
yeah,
even if you still feel like it's a little too herky jerky, I totally get why you would say that.
yeah. It definitely did feel that conversation felt very short to me. But again, we'll see how we there's two of me. How I feel
I
on
love that.
second watch. It'll be yeah, I can't wait to watch the movie again and see how see things differently, like not just being like completely emotionally wrapped up in it and like just writing like I felt like I was just like writing the movie like on like a surfboard or something. Like I was hitting all the waves and like actually being able to like sit back and really think about it without being on that like emotional roller coaster of highs and lows. I might have less of a problem or I might have more of a problem. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um, but I can't wait to rewatch to really clarify some of my opinions.
yeah. I mean, I did not think I was going to have 6 full front to back like
Yeah,
pages of notes. I did not think that there was going to be that much stuff in this movie where I was like, I have to write this down. I have to write this down. Also, didn't
yeah,
think that my writing would be at all legible because I brought a gel pen with me. And when I write with a gel pen, I have to write with my right hand instead of my left hand. Because if I write with my left hand, I smear my ink all over the
yeah.
page and it gets all over my hand. So I thought it would be really illegible and it's actually pretty good.
Nice,
Not
nice.
important.
um, but yeah, but okay. But then Andrew and Peter, Andrew and Peter, Andrew and Toby. Um,
The world does not deserve them. We're so lucky.
it was so. Yeah. It was really just like that moment in the movie theater. That moment. Like when Andrew shows up and then the moment when Toby shows up. It's yeah.
Crowd pleaser, man. Like, and the thing is I know Dan mentioned
it's
it.
have
If they had just like
experienced
popped
that.
in, said a joke, and then maybe fought a monster or two, and then popped away, like I would have felt so unfulfilled. But the fact that they're such a meaningful part of the story and that we get them so much earlier in the film than I expected was a
Yeah.
very big surprise for me.
Yeah. No, like I was saying, like I wish that everybody could experience this movie on opening night
Yeah.
and have that theater reaction. Like I wish that everybody who cared at all about Spider-Man in any way could have that experience without spoilers or anything. Like just going in, it's amazing. It's really amazing. And yeah, like I said, pun intended. um, but like everybody has a character arc in this. Like Andrew and Toby have arcs. They have fully fleshed out arcs, which is insane.
Yeah. I mean, It's funny
Like,
because they both are and aren't the title character. And so
yeah,
even though they are what you would imagine as being like secondary to the origin story of Tom Holland and Peter Parker, they both get, as you mentioned, just they are completely three-dimensional, important, plot necessary, developed characters. That's amazing.
yeah. I feel like we're just gonna use the word amazing a lot now.
I'm so glad to share a namesake with a wonderful Spider-Man.
But yeah, so we have the moment on top of the school, right?
Yes.
Which I know Robbie mentioned that, like, he thinks that they weren't there together, which, like, again, I think it makes sense, but also, like, I don't think it really detracts from anything, like he was saying.
I think in a way it's almost a testament to how well that the scene is written and how well it's edited together, because I think that
Yeah,
because they're having such incredibly important conversation. It's not just emotional, it's important. Like this is the actual moment of genesis of who this Spider-Man is going to be, that because they're in extreme close up for almost all these shots, uh, you don't feel like they're trying to avoid showing the fact that in a wide shot they may not all be there at the same time
yeah,
in the same place. And I think that
yeah,
that's smart because it feels intimate, it feels connected, it feels like they're talking to you, not just to Peter. And if they were not there, it was done so well that I know that on both my first watch and my second watch, I did not even notice that. Now, when Robbie said it retroactively, I was like, okay, that makes sense based on what my brain remembers seeing. But I didn't even for a second think about it when I was watching it.
yeah. No, same. Um, and then after that, like we
Well,
have the
also,
moment in the lab.
I want to
Okay.
posit one thing to you, by the way. I love it on the roof. He still literally says, not my problem in the beginning of that conversation. And I think it's really interesting because it's not until the whole finishing the great power responsibility line from Toby, I feel like that is the moment that changes him. And I think it's actually really great that it's those two Spider-Men that are the absolute like linchpin to who he becomes. It's not even just May's death. Like for the previous two, the Uncle Bens, that was the moment for both of those Peters. And I
Yeah,
like that the moment wasn't actually May dying, it was actually talking to these other Spider-Men. It makes their involvement in the story even more meaningful, at least the way I'm interpreting it, because I don't think he would have been on that roof after talking to her and hearing her say, with great power must also come great responsibility, and then still literally say that those villains are not his problem, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's also just it's great to see, like, to just explore the idea of being able to talk to yourself at two different stages in your life. Like we get to see like mid-20s Peter and then like mid-30s Peter. And like me, because I think that I'm the same. If I'm not the same age, I'm very close to Tom Holland Spider-Man because I know he's 15 in Homecoming, I believe. I think he says he's
I think
15.
he's technically 16 at that point because he corrects Tony Stark and he's like,
Oh,
no,
right.
boy.
Tony says he's 15. Yeah. So 16. So then I'm assuming that at this point he's 18 because he's graduating high school.
Yeah, he could be a young, like I was a 17-year-old
Yeah.
student at that age. So like he could be 17, but at the most he could be 18 years old. So yeah,
Yeah.
you are as close in age to him effectively. And I'm pretty much dead in between where the character of Amazing Spider-Man is supposed to be ish. And because I mean, I think that Garfield and I'm several years younger than him, but he just looks fantastic. Because I think he's supposed to be near his 30s ish. And then Toby, I think, is actually in his early 40s as a character, I think.
Okay.
It looks
Okay.
like since they didn't de age him.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There wasn't any de-aging.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's a really fascinating idea. Like I can imagine talking to myself in like my late 20s and early 40s. Like that'd be insane. But like you would learn so much, and like I said, I think that's what like that was probably the moment that like shaped Peter, more than like anything in his life up to that point. And I think like honestly, me as a 16-year-old, if I got to meet two future versions of myself, that would probably be the defining moment in like learning who I am is meeting two possible future me's. And I love how that idea, like they don't like play it out really heavy-handed,
Hmm.
but they like it's there.
Yeah. Like they don't
And
have a moment where it's like, hey, I'm you 20 years
Yeah.
from now, or like, hey, I'm you 10 years from now. Or like, you were me when this happened. Like, they all also really, not just because they're all very intelligent characters, but because they're written in an emotionally intelligent way to recognize that they have had incredibly similar experiences, but they're also individual, specific, unique persons.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I loved how all that was handled.
I actually brought it up when I was in my solo discussion while you were off somewhere in the multiverse. That I'm going to skip really quick to the end just to because it connects to this. When Toby is fighting against him with the glider, and
Yep.
the idea that it's looking into effectively your own eyes in that moment, like that has to be just like the weirdest, most complicated emotional thing, even if it's not like physically your eyes, but like it's a version of you. Like that has to be
Yeah.
weird and
Yeah.
very moving.
100%. Yeah. But then we get some fun stuff with them in the lab.
Peter
Yeah,
Parker.
it's so good. Do we know their middle names?
Not in this, not that I believe it have ever stated.
Okay. Because I wonder if they'd have different middle names.
They could. We could have a Peter B. Parker situation on our hands.
We could. Do we know what the B stands for?
I don't think it says in the movie, but I'm sure that there's probably a Wikia page that says it. But this terrible Intergeekdom player does not know.
Okay. I doubt it. I doubt it's mentioned. I've seen that movie at least 60 or 70 times. I do not think it's mentioned. If you had to guess, what do you think Peter's middle name is, starting with a B? Because I'm leaning towards Bernard.
Oh wow! Although would it possibly be Bernard? Connected universe to the Butler from the Raimi Spider-Man. What about Benjamin?
Benjamin, yeah, Benjamin makes a lot more sense than Bernard.
Or
Like
Bernard.
that.
Hey, buddy. Hi.
Yeah. Bernard.
One thing I loved and by the way, I noticed I was replaying my solo part. I said I love every other sentence, so it gives you an idea how I felt about the movie. When he talks
really
with when he's talking with the Peter Parkers, and then he asks Toby, it's like, did you have a best friend?
Yeah.
They go into the whole thing, and I love when he talks to Peter later, and he's like to Tom Holland, he says, "I promise I won't turn into a villain and try to kill you," which, as you, as a comic book reader, know, is an incredibly funny line because.
Yeah. And then Leeds does become a villain, and yeah, stuff happens.
Well, and I think that could be very fascinating. I'm not saying I want this to happen, but it could be really interesting now that he does not know who Peter Parker is. Something totally separate and mutually exclusive could happen. He could become the Hobgoblin and he could be fighting Spider-Man in the future. Spider-Man loves him because that's Ned. He knows Ned.
Yeah.
Ned has no freaking clue who this guy is. Like, that's an interesting dynamic of friction because he can't explain to a villain why he doesn't want to hurt or kill him.
Does Ned still know how to magic? I'm assuming not. But like, he must have that skill still.
I don't know though, because Doctor Strange isn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I want to tease out too much how I think the spell works, because I feel like that just like people are going to call it plot holes, etc. moving forward, and I'm just going to accept it with whatever rules that the universe provides for me. But I think if he were given a sling ring, he could probably.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think
cultural, like genetic bloodline sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, because I don't think that like he wouldn't still have the memory of magicking with like the sling ring. I'm just gonna use magicking as a verb because grammar. I mean all words are made up. But like he obviously had that skill somewhere deep inside of him that like came out when he had the sling ring. So I'm assuming if he gets his hands on like any kind of magical item again, he could probably magic.
Probably.
So
come on, buddy. Come here.
that
Keep
like
nope.
I I think that would be fun. I ever since they introduced like they went with Ned Leeds instead of Harry, I was like, no, this could still go badly. This could still go pretty poorly. Um, so it'll be interesting. Though I completely agree with you. I know you mentioned I think this is off camera. But like how you want to see them do a different love interest for Peter. And
I
I
think it'd
want
be nice at least for one film.
yeah. I want to see Gwen Stacy in the MCU.
Oh, see, I was actually thinking it might be interesting to see someone that we haven't seen him with yet, just to tread new ground.
I
But
mean, it's like there'd be like Betty Brant, which was an early love interest, but she's already in the MCU. She was with Ned. So like because I believe in the comics she works for the Daily Bugle as like a
mhm.
secretary or something. And then her
Yeah,
and
she's
Ned end up
Elizabeth
getting
Banks
married.
in the Raimi films.
Yes. Yeah. So that that was a love interest early on, but like who are other Spider-Man love interests? Like I mean Spider Woman, I think at one point Jessica Drew. That was a
Yeah, I mean,
thing.
there's definitely options.
Okay, he dated Captain Marvel recently in the comics
Well, there you go.
within the past 10 years. So,
I mean, there's Felicia.
yeah, Felicia. Like that could actually be pretty fun. I'm sad that we didn't get to see Felicity Jones do a lot with that character because I think she would have been a very good Black Cat.
Hmm.
Because we were gonna have that Silver and Black movie with Silver Sable, I think. And Black Cat, which would have been interesting. But like, yeah, I want to see Black Cat
Me too.
on the big screen again because she's such a fun character.
Right there. There's your black cat.
Oh, I thought you were gonna sneeze, and like
Yep.
it was very long. Yeah, there's a Black Cat.
Um, well, let's jump forward into the final big
Yeah, yeah,
big confrontation.
yeah.
Um, I
I,
personally really love all the little like small Spider-Man inter-spider people discussion.
the
Because I feel
back
like that's
cracking.
very Peter Parker. Yes, that's
Yeah,
very Spider-Man, like the organic web shooters conversation. Talking about being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, like I love that. That's a fantastic thing. I'm glad that they didn't trim stuff like that. I'm sure they probably had
yeah.
3 times as much actual scripted or footage or whatever, but I'm glad that they kept some of that because I think those small moments in a movie that has this many huge emotional moments and big consequences, I think that stuff matters.
I can't wait for the Blu-ray to see like deleted scenes and all the behind the scenes footage of like Toby, Andrew, and Tom interacting.
I can't
Like
wait to see the gag reel.
oh yeah, no, it's gonna be so great. Like also, like this got some of the biggest laughs I've seen in any theater this year. Specifically Andrew's line. I feel like he's like, I feel kind of lame. I just felt like a Russian guy in a weird rhino
A
suit.
rhino
Like
costume, yeah.
yeah, and like it's such a great line. Like that's I think that's maybe I think that line specifically is the biggest laugh I've had in a theater this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Granted, I didn't see
Um,
Don't Look Up in a theater, so but
yeah. I
yeah,
I loved the Peter 3. Like
yeah,
that was my probably bigger laugh moment, but
yeah.
it's just
The
because it's
Avengers, like, are
it's
you
so
in a
much fun.
band?
Yeah. It's also neat. I can't wait to see the gag reel because I know at least with I remember vividly that Tom Holland he drops his accent the second that he's not in character and he's not method. So like the second that on gag reel when he like flubs a line or someone flubs a line, it's actually really interesting and fun to hear him. He's so good that because his American accent is very good that he
Yeah,
just can turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Because even the best people with accent work sometimes are like, I'm just gonna stay with my character accent the whole day. Just it keeps my brain in that space, blah, blah, blah. Because I mean, you have to do like it's an exercise for your mouth, the way that you enunciate certain words in a different accent. So I just think it's another really impressive demonstration of him being a really good actor. And I don't know if Garfield also stays, if he stays in accent or not, but I think that the gag reel could be really hilarious just to yet again
yeah,
see how good of actors that they get to be spider people.
yeah, yeah. Okay, but can we please let Tom like just be British in a movie for once? because like I mean he's like in Uncharted. Could he have not have just been British?
True.
I don't-
Although Lost City of Zed, he gets to be British,
Okay, yeah, and that's
but that's
actually
the only one.
I'm very much looking forward to that. Like Cherry earlier this year on Apple TV,
Mhm.
the Russo brothers movie. That he like was American, like you just got headbutted by a cat.
I did. He loves me so much. He hits me in the face.
That's a
Someone's gonna
very
clip that
normal
out and take that out of context. I'm talking about my fuzzy little animal who weighs 9.5 pounds.
not Dan.
Yeah, no, not Dan.
But yeah, it's like just the same thing with Andrew. Like I feel like so many British actors, like also Benedict Cumberbatch. Can
Oh
we
yeah.
not let him be British? Like he got to be British in The Courier earlier this year, the Dominic Cook spy film. But like The Power of the Dog, he is like so American.
It's a big improvement too, because even as Doctor Strange, I get that part of it is him trying to do like regional America. But even then, there's a couple little odd things, but at least he kept the character consistent, regardless of any previous like criticisms or nitpicking. But his accent work in The Power of the Dog was so good.
Yeah. It's I mean, I could gush about The Power of the Dog for a very long time. Uh
We both could.
but yeah. I talked about it earlier. I cried very real human tears when Andrew Peter saves MJ. It uh
Favorite moment of the movie.
yeah, it's my favorite moment as well.
Yep, it's kind of almost like we were talking about Nightmare Alley off camera, which again I know the whole movie didn't work for you, but we both agreed that the final scene is a masterclass in
Yeah.
acting from Bradley Cooper. That small moment is a masterclass in acting from Andrew Garfield as well.
Yeah. And Zendaya, like she nailed that scene. Like, even though I think a lot of Zendaya's stuff in this just kind of because like her character is so interesting in Homecoming. Like I love the like, I'm not gonna participate in the Washington Monument because it was built by slave labor. Like just like that character, I wanted to see more of like that character is now it feels like she's kind of devolved into just like basic MCU quips for most of her dialogue. But like she's a legitimately great actress. I mean, like Euphoria is phenomenal. There's a reason that she won an Emmy. She's gonna get an nomination very soon. Like I see it. I see it coming for her. She was close with Malcolm and Marie. Like she's a legitimately great actress. And like like a lot of this third act stuff, she really crushed.
hmm Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, let's just say Andrew Garfield is getting ready to jump a really tall fence. He might be able to just take one real big leap, grab with his hands, and climb over on his own. But she gave him that lift that made him just soar over the top. And without her, he doesn't
Yeah.
succeed as much. Like
Yeah.
he may have done the heaviest of the jobs by actually jumping over the fence, but couldn't have made it as successfully without her pulling her weight in that scene too.
Yeah. It's very, very good.
By the
Yeah.
way, did
it-
you notice that when they talk about how like they don't know how to work as a team, and then Peter says he does, and they go and they start attacking together to get the arc reactor off Electro? Did you notice that the choreography of that scene is very, very similar to the attack of Thanos on Titan?
I didn't, but
At least to me, it looked really, really
proactively,
similar.
yeah, no, it does. Like looking just after you've said that, like that does connect, which makes sense because that's really the only time we saw Peter fight in like a team setting aside from the end game battle. So
Yeah, and I mean, and it almost worked if Peter Quill wasn't a dum dum.
yeah, which okay, I'm a defender of Peter Quill in that scene because he was also just told that like the love of his life was dead, and the person who killed him was or who killed her was sitting right in front of him. So like I get the untapped rage. Like he should be entirely blamed.
Oh no, I 100% agree that in that moment that you are not thinking rationally. And yes, Peter Quill being a dum dum is low hanging fruit. but it was the only way. Like they literally said they had a 1 in, oh golly, I know how many chances it was, but I'm not going to bother trying to recall it because Intergeekdom season is over. But so I mean, I'm not angry at him. It's the low hanging fruit joke because I agree. You're not gonna follow the plan in that moment.
No. Like, if somebody killed Dan and you saw the person who killed him, you would not think rationally.
No, I'd be double fisting knives, stabby things.
With stabby things.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I don't understand people who say that, like, no, I just want to follow the plan. Like, that's a very specific conversation that I've had with multiple people.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if I told you this one. My second time seeing it when Amazing Spider-Man saves MJ right after like the finalizing, like everything's done in that scene, and right before we're getting back into the action, I heard a dude say, "I'm not crying, you're crying."
Somebody actually did that.
No, like, but he was clearly just like openly sobbing, and I could tell that like one of his friends must have been giving him a hard time about it because it was like it wasn't a "hey, I'm looking for a funny haha" thing. It was like he was legitimately upset that his friend was like yelling at him for crying or something. It was so funny.
Because that's like the joke thing. Like you
I
say
know.
that as a joke, not as
Yeah,
a
no.
real.
He was really upset.
That's so funny.
But then here's the other one. I don't think I told you this one either. So when Toby Spider-Man gets stabbed, I think that there was a human being in my theater that broke. Like
Oh,
who thought that they were gonna kill him because I heard a scream that was not surprise. It wasn't pain, it wasn't anger, it was all of them.
yeah. Okay. I had a funny reaction. When Andrew, um, uh, when Andrew Peter, we first see Andrew Peter, right? And he says like, "Hi, like my name is Peter Parker." The dude next to me went, "Yes, sir. Yes, you are." It was so. Oh, okay. I also just while we're on funny theater things, while I was watching The King's Man, okay, there was a guy who was sitting like across the aisle in the row in front. So it was like across the aisle in front. And there was only him and then one other person in the theater. It was a very small, like nobody went to see The King's Man because Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But the dude was on his phone for almost the entirety of the movie. But I glanced over to see what he was doing, and he was texting one of like it was either his son or his daughter, and he was texting them and having an argument over how much screen time they should have. And I almost started laughing.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I would let someone stay on their phone as long as I was eavesdropping on that entire conversation.
Yeah, no, I was constant. I have no shame in admitting I was glancing over the entire time to see how the debate was going. It was very funny. If you're watching, hope it's going well. Uh, but yeah, Spider-Man. Do we want to talk about the Doctor Strange 2 trailer at all? Or like
Yeah,
because
one last thing I just want to mention though, I'm just curious if this hit as hard for you. Um, when they do the group hug as like he's saying goodbye and he stops by the Spider-Man and they have that really quick like group hug, to me that is going to be absolutely one of my favorite superhero moments of all time. Like, because when do we get that? When do we get 3 people playing an iconic character and they all got to share in being a part of one of the best Spider-Man films ever made? Like all of them get to share that together now. There is no competition of, well, he's got Spider-Man 2. Well, Amazing Spider-Man, he's great, but the movie's not that great. Or, oh, Spider-Man Homecoming, best Spider-Man movie ever. It's like, of the live action Spider-Man, I think that very few people really did not respond to this movie, and I feel bad that they didn't, and I get it, and there's no shade on it. But most people call this in the upper echelon of their Spider-Man movies, and they all get to share it together, and that's beautiful.
So yeah, do you think this movie has your favorite Spider-Man scene? Because I have one scene that comes from another film, but like I would say if I were to make a list of like my 10 favorite Spider-Man scenes, I would say this would have the most scenes on that list, but my number one Spider-Man scene of all time is the leap of faith in Spider-Verse. But like I would say Andrew saving MJ is probably number 2 for me.
I think that between Andrew saving MJ and the second Midtown roof scene post Aunt May dying, I think that might be my favorite Spider-Man scene ever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like my favorite Spider-Man moment might be Andrew saving MJ, but I
Yeah.
think that might be my favorite Spider-Man scene. It does so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Another fun question quickly.
hmm
So assuming it was executed at this high of a level, what other superhero character would you like to see every single person who's played them in live action join together?
I mean, part of me says I want it to just be Batman because, for example, like Captain America is my favorite. Like he from a very young age, like him and Spider Man were two of my favorite Marvel / MCU characters. But I've always felt a really strong attachment to the Batman character because, as far as the Justice League is concerned, like core group Justice League, um, he is a rich dude. Sure, he can afford really, really good quality earth made equipment and stuff. But he's
Yeah.
just a mortal guy who decides because of his moral code and his trauma that he's going to risk his life and go try to help people. And I think that
Yeah.
that's such a great hero message. And that's one of the reasons why I always loved Spider Man is because, before they said it in Spider Verse, the concept of anybody can wear the mask, like that's still very prominent, like overall, as far as like, yes, he has some superpowers and stuff, but he was a kid. Like he was a kid and he got bitten by a spider and then he became a hero, like because he chose to use those gifts. And I mean, I always loved Cap because he didn't have a weapon, he had a shield, which I thought was just a
Yeah.
really good message to have for people. But like, I think I'd love to see all of the Batman, not just because even with the Schumacher of it all, I think that there's something to be redeemed. Like if they do for Batman what they did for some of the villains and some of the Spider-Men and their individual properties and redeem them, I think that could be something really effective.
Yeah. I mean, Keaton's already coming back.
Mhm.
It could be a
Was he
thing.
ever really gone?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think the hardest one to get to come back would be, Val Kilmer for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I didn't really think about the fact that could be something that would be complicated. Um, well, and then obviously Adam West can't really come
Well,
back.
yeah,
I guess I should
and,
revise my choices.
unless you did a like, okay, I don't know if I want to say
Oh,
there was a thing.
Pattinson, Affleck, and Bale. There we go. Done.
Oh yeah, I'm good with just those 3. Like I'm fine with just those 3. Like you could do an Adam West, like I guess you could bring him back with like CGI, but like I don't know. But yeah, even just like Pattinson, Bale, and then Affleck, even Keaton throwing in there.
Mhm.
I think those 4 would be great.
I'd be down for that. I mean, I think especially if you have the correct intention, because I think that one of the things that this movie oozes is sincerity. Like they
Yes.
sincerely wanted to not just make the lazy cash grab that has a lot of like, oh, I recognize that thing from that thing, and oh, this is that thing from that thing. Like
Yeah.
it was made to improve upon everything that came before it that was lacking, celebrate what came before it that was spectacular, and create something new that was groundbreaking.
Yeah. No, this movie accomplishes so much. And yeah, I think the ending's executed very, very well. We've already kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the Venom post-credit scene I did not like. It felt
The
so
only thing that
pointless.
was interesting was
Mm.
the concept of trying to explain the blip to someone. Like if it
Yeah.
really happened, if that was really a thing, and you had to explain it to me and try to really convince me that happened, like that would be the weirdest thing. That's the only intriguing part about it for me.
Mara, I have something to tell you.
Oh
Um,
no.
um, but yeah, no, but like, what did it have to be Tom Hardy as Venom?
That felt like a Sony thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if I have to trade getting that movie for having that stinger, I'm happy to do it.
Oh yeah, no.
You know?
If it has to come with that, then yeah. But yeah, and I guess we're doing Venom now, which whatever. I guess that kind of makes sense with now that he's on his own. Then he has to like struggle with inner demons instead of having an external threat. Like that makes sense. But like, I don't know. And I'm assuming Tom Hardy will voice him. Like, will voice Venom. Like,
Probably.
eh, whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how Morbius factors in.
Yeah, I know they
'cause-
haven't like per se established exactly where it exists. And I'm just gonna wait until they tell me.
Yeah, because we don't know if Michael Keaton is playing Vulture or if he's playing a different character. We've seen that Spider-Man exists in this universe in the trailer, which was not previously established in the other Venom films that exist, but we know this exists in the same universe as Venom because they mentioned Venom and they also mentioned an incident in San Francisco. So, but there's no Spider-Man and Michael Keaton. I don't know. I'm very confused. I don't know where. Whatever.
Well, I noticed
That's
right now
very
Michael
soon.
Keaton doesn't have a character name in IMDb, so I
Yeah.
think that's something that we're just gonna have to wait to find out.
I'm telling you guys, he's gonna be playing Ken. He's playing the Ken doll. Ken doll's grown up. Him and Barbie got a divorce.
There you go.
No, know what I need? You know what I need, Mar?
Ketchup?
No, ketchup is pretty good though. Not gonna lie. The superior condiment over mustard. But I need the Ken-verse. I need Ryan Gosling, who's gonna be playing Ken in Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach's Barbie movie next year, 2023, to play Ken opposite Michael Keaton.
Okay,
I need the Keniverse, and then Ken Knapsack will be there,
absolutely.
and we have a movie. I honestly just Michael Keaton, Ryan Gosling, and Ken Knapsack riffing could be a film, and I would pay to see it.
I'd pay to see that.
But they all have to call each other Ken. That's the one.
Yeah, I mean that's an easy condition. That's 100% legit.
Yeah, 100%. Anyways,
I think I did it.
well, do we want to talk Doctor Strange 2 quick?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready now.
Cool.
Oh no, he's gone. That's a shame.
Okay. Yeah, I was waiting for it.
What about this
Okay.
baby?
So many babies. There are too many babies on this show.
Well,
mean,
you know
me,
what?
Parker,
We've made a
those two.
big family together. You know what families do? Families that want to hang out together, they play games.
Play games.
Sometimes foul language can be used, but you know what? They also have to yell at kids to do their chores, like mow the lawn, take care of the pets, and occasionally get the hell out of the house.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. You have fun with those. Yeah. Like we should just retitle the show Mara and Babies.
No, let's not. That's never going to be a sentence.
Mara and Babies in the basement.
Unless they're baby kitties, I don't think so.
Babies in the basement. I'm here for that.
Boss babies in the basement.
Boss babies in the basement. Yeah, Doctor Strange 2. I mean, it looks dope. Like that's the simplest way I can put it. It just looks dope.
That was when they were announcing the Phase 4 slate. That was the one that jumped out at me first, that I was most excited for, just with the title, before we knew anything about any of it. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, like just in the multiverse of madness. It's weird. They kind of had like this is the second title though in Phase 4 where it's like so long. Like it's and or in
Mhm.
like and the Legend of the Ten Rings or in the multiverse of madness. That's a lot of syllables. Also, I do think it's fun because obviously Scott Derrickson has left the film. But I do think it's fun that it's Sam Raimi
Yeah.
that I believe is directing it, and it was after we saw his characters come back in Spider-Man, and then now the trailer at the end was for his next movie, which is he's coming back to Marvel. Like that's so fun.
Oh yeah, that's definitely some layering I could get into, like a good
Yeah.
trifle.
Yeah. But yeah, so so happy that we're seeing America Chavez.
Yes.
I like Young Avengers. Okay, so I haven't seen Hawkeye yet. I was waiting until it was all done so I could binge it. So I'm now going to binge the show. Obviously we know that I know that Kate Bishop's in it, who is like one of my favorite comic book characters. I've also managed to avoid all spoilers. Aside, like I do know that there's like a big reveal, but I don't know what said reveal is. So I'm very excited to
They
learn what said
revealed
reveal
that
is.
Black Widow died.
Mara.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible.
um, but yeah, I'm very excited to go into that. But like we're building the Young Avengers. We have Teddy and Billy from WandaVision. We have Kate Bishop now. Then we're bringing in the little America Chavez, and then we have Cassie Lang, all grown up now.
hmm
We building out the Young Avengers. I need it. I need it. I need it. I need it. That is like that is my favorite superhero team. Is the Young Avengers from the comics. I love that group so much. I mean, we have the scrolls. I mean, we have Hulkling, the Kree scroll, like Halfling, the Halfling King, like which could totally be a thing. I could even see them like potentially making him like the son of like Talos or something.
I could see that. Yeah.
Like there's so many ways to go with this, but like I need my Young Avengers theory because we're gonna theorize Marvel stuff. What? Okay, so it's been talked to death like X-Men and Doctor Strange, right?
hmm
Like, do I think that Hugh Jackman's gonna pop out of a portal? No. What I do think could happen is I think we could see Colossus's little sister Magic show up in this film.
Oh yeah, we have actually that would be pretty appropriate.
And I would love to see that because she's a phenomenal character. Part of the New Mutants.
hmm
There was a recent comic book run called Strange Academy, where it was basically just like Hogwarts, except Doctor Strange taught like new magic kids at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and Magic was one of the teachers, and it was great. Um, like so there's like a connection between those characters. Wanda was another one of the teachers there at Doctor Strange's magic school. So like the connection's there, and like yeah, I want to see Magic on screen. I think that there's a way to do it. I don't know, because was it? Chloe Grace Moretz that played her?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy. Okay, I did the thing that Dan does. I get them confused. Uh,
I won't tell him that.
yes, no shade to Dan, but that is something that we both do. I get Chloe Grace Moretz and Anya Taylor-Joy confused very easily. But yeah, it's like I don't know if we'll see her come back. I would love to see her come back. Because she's also just like a great actress. She's very,
Oh
very
yeah.
good. So sure, if we could see her come back as Magic, I most certainly would not mind.
I would also
'Cause
be very intrigued by that.
yeah. So did you like New Mutants or no?
Let me put it this way, on my first watch, I was a little disappointed by it, but on rewatches, I mean, I don't think it's without merits. I think that it has some small weaknesses in how they structure the film, but I
Yeah.
don't hate it. I think that it could have been better, but
Yeah.
I think also just the idea that it was never going to come out didn't help
Yeah.
it at all because I don't think there would have been nearly as much like scrutiny or expectations, and that's not even just on me. That's just amongst people in
Yeah.
general. But I don't mind rewatching it, and I think the romance in it is very sincere, very sweet, portrayed very well. It definitely has some qualities that I think people overlook when dismissing it as just being kind of the. I think that's kind of too critical.
Yeah, no, it's a perfectly fine movie, and I think that Anya Taylor-Joy is actually very good casting as Magic. So yeah, maybe we see Magic. Again though, if somebody says the word Mephisto one more time, One more time.
If someone says that name again, you're gonna put your Mephisto into them.
It wasn't your best, but
I guess I should have said Mephisto.
my fisto. Yeah, that works better. Your fisto doesn't work as well. My fisto is solid. My fisto is solid.
There you go. I'm learning.
Yes, from a comedy great such as me, who knows everything about.
Well, you're Mark Ellis, aren't you? You guys look exactly the same.
Do we? I don't. I don't. I've never gotten that. Do I look like Mark Ellis?
No, not really. That was kind
Okay,
of a joke.
that's what what I thought. Oh, kitty.
He's doing that
Kitty.
thing he does that I told you and Clara about where like I didn't show anyone else this. Like when he's just a normal cat, his whiskers are like this. But when he plays, they go
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's everything. I think that's everything. You have to go bake lots of pies.
yes, I have to make a Dutch apple pie. I have to make a vanilla bean ice cream. I have to make my salted caramel, so I can also make a salted caramel ice cream. I still have to finish wrapping a little bit of gifts. I need to take a shower, which is pretty obvious. I'm missing some stuff too, but I have other stuff I have to do too. I'm going to be up all night long. I have to finish the soap dispenser, which is almost finished. I just need to go seal it, sand it down a little bit, and seal it in the garage. But yeah, and you're doing some family stuff, right?
I am. I also have to wrap Clara's present. But Mara, I think that you'll be able to do everything. You want to know why? Because you're amazing, Mara. You're amazing. I think you needed to hear that.
You know, I really honestly hope that there could be a bit next season in the Schmodown where people just tell me that over
Yeah.
and over again because I would love it because it would make me feel good and
You know what, Mara?
it'd be really funny.
You're amazing.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for sticking around because this will have totaled out at like 3 hours. Not
That's
our
so
longest show
long.
yet, but you know what? Our longest show where we aren't watching a movie.
Yeah, there
at
was
some
the
point.
Catwoman show. That was
Yes.
6 hours long.
But I want to wish everybody a very happy Christmas, very happy any holiday that you're celebrating, Kwanzaa, if you already celebrated Hanukkah, any other insert holiday that I'm terrible and ignorant and don't know about that you celebrate in this wintry season.
All of the
Uh,
holidays.
I think we're going to have to do another pre-taped show for New Year's. Besides the
Yes.
fact that we are likely going to be not located right here, but because it's a holiday, I'm sure that you also are going to be doing something in some way, probably.
Yes.
So look out for that. More to follow. And I can't wait to see everybody in the new year. So
Yeah.
what a community we've built this year so far. What would this be? Episode 18? Is that right? That sounds
I
right.
think this is 18. Yeah. And then the New Year's show will be New Year's Day.
hmm
So yeah, so we'll have cranked out 18 episodes in about half a year.
That's
So
not bad considering I had major oral surgery.
yeah. So going to next year. So let's see. So we won't be able to hit 100 until 2023. When we do 100, we'll have to do something. I don't know what's gonna
I
be.
feel like we're going to have to do something for like 25, just because that's already a pretty cool number.
Yeah, or like our year anniversary.
Oh, definitely.
But
Well, in that case, I'm going to continue entertaining this adorable little creature on my way to the kitchen to go make some caramel. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe out there. Omicron is definitely a concern. So please
Yep.
do what makes you feel safest and help everyone else try to stay safe and healthy. We'll see you next week. It's just Dan. He's wearing a bathrobe, so I thought it was an intruder, but it's not. It's just Dan. Hey, Dan, do you want to say bye to everybody? Do you want to say bye to everybody? Come here. So it's cold upstairs. So Dan is wearing this amazing robe that I gave him for Hanukkah.
Nice.
Goodbye, everybody.
You look
Goodbye,
okay. So with
everybody.
the angle, you look like really tall. Like you look like Haggard with the robe. The angle tilted up. You just need a beard, and you got the Haggard look.
Nice. I'll make sure I let him know. Well, with all of that, again, thank you, everyone. I can say thank you 25 times, but it
Anger.
doesn't tell you how grateful that we all are for everyone in the community. So
Yep.
we will see you next year, technically.
Yes. Yeah. This is our last show of the year. Oh.
Bye, 2021. You suck. My comments on the year 2021 do not reflect the feelings of the basement at large or my co-host Trevor.